If you've ever been weary of 100-degree heat, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. This time, the Monday, June 23rd edition, where we had some, let's just call them developments over the weekend. We're going to break it down. Markets are reacting to it. Where are they going to finish? That is the $64,000 question. Looks like we also had some HIMS news breaking over the last half hour here. That's causing that stock to move wildly. So we're going to cover it all. A new week begins right here. Monday's episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook for June 23rd starts right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend. And if you extended the Juneteenth holiday into a 4-day weekend, then good on you. Hopefully you are rested, relaxed. And I'll be honest, if you're anywhere in the Midwest right now, you are probably dealing with some extreme heat. So remember, drink that water, stay cool, stay hydrated. Be careful. That extreme heat is nothing to joke about. We're preparing here for a couple of days near or at 100 with high humidity. So it's going to be brutal. Let's go ahead and welcome everyone back here. Paul, good morning. How you doing? Let me ask you, Paul, you're a futures trader. Did you trade the futures over the weekend or last night at all? Because it looked like there was a pretty big move down and then a pretty big move back up. Curious how you did. Welcome. Happy Monday. Jane, good to see you. As always, welcome back. Peter, good morning. Welcome back. Peggy, good morning. Great day for warfare and oil. We will see how this all shakes out. Good morning. Welcome. Mama Bear, good morning. Well, let us make a trade and go to the beach. Mama Bear's got her plan for the heat all lined up. You just love to see it. Welcome back. Happy Monday. Bobby, good morning. It's great to see you again. Sean, good morning. Terlingua, good morning. We're going to cover the list. Neville, it's good to see you again. Reaching Financial Freedom, likewise. Jonathan, welcome back. Sun-Kissed Yogi, good morning. Glass Half Full, good morning. Couch Potato, good morning. The producer, locked in, as always. Bernhard, good morning. Kevin, good morning. Big Bees, good morning. Welcome back, boss. Good to see you again. Chuck, welcome back. Fairchild, what's up, my man? Are you going through the extreme heat up there in Wisconsin? Do you get a bit of a reprieve? My buddy went to his lake house. First text he sends me is, oh my God, thank God we installed air conditioning last year. Hopefully you're doing well, my man. Quantum, good morning. Harley, good morning. Dave, good morning. Day Trader, good morning. Big Milkshake Trading, good morning. Earl, Graf, and Dave Trader, good morning. Brian, good morning. JJ, good morning. Shinir, good morning. Yes, sir. Went long and done for the day. Paul, you're already done because you're trading the futures overnight. That's all I like to see, my man. That's all I like to see. Really good stuff. Keith, good morning. It's good to see you again. Zoo, welcome back. Special K, welcome back. Philip, Paulo, Mumu, welcome back. Yassine, good morning. Hopefully you're staying cool, Yassine. Laura in Florida, let's go. Good morning. Tyler, Javon, Kerching, good morning. Fairchild, it's hotter than, I feel you, brother. I feel you, man. Stay cool out there. C-Max, good morning. And Jay, good morning. And of course, Jay, thank you for your service as always. Hopefully all is well in your folks' corner of the world. Sun-Kissed Yogi saying extreme heat warnings in southern New England as well. We got warnings all over the place here today. Okay, let's go ahead and dive right into everything that's going on. No guests this morning, so we're just going to roll news, charts, ticker suggestions, the whole 9 yards. Nobody has to ask for HIMS because we're definitely going to cover HIMS, and I would imagine that there's going to be possible trading opportunities here on HIMS today, maybe in both directions. Tyler says, my AC unit broke. Tyler, I wish you the absolute best, man, because the worst heat experience I ever had in my life was a couple of years ago where there was a 3-day stretch of 99 degrees where my AC broke night one going into the first really bad day. And I couldn't get my AC replaced because they needed to get a crane to put it on top of the building. And oh my God, I had to wait weeks. I actually bought a portable air conditioner and just lived in one room for like 6 days until they could replace my air conditioning. So good luck, man. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Normally you can be a pretty sensible guy, but heat just makes you go effing crazy. So hope that doesn't happen. Anyway, back to the market here. Here's a look at the SPY. We are sitting right under the 20-day moving average. Now, that's a pretty unfair synopsis given everything that happened over the weekend. Of course, we've experienced a little bit of weakness at the end of last week. You can see it here with the SPY pretty much rolling over from that 603, 604 area. We simply were not strong enough to set new all-time highs. And now the market's coming back in a little. Now, the interesting part here is that, of course, we're going to cover the attacks over the weekend that dragged the market down, that dragged the market down here. But we are considerably up off the overnight lows, as evidenced by Paul here, trading the futures. Again, really good job. In fact, we're going to get our register ring there early this morning. We are up off the lows. So I know when the futures opened last night, everything opened red. That was to be expected, but it appears, at least so far, that the war dip is being bought. This is just a reminder that both Anne Marie and Tim Melvin both kind of said that this is likely to produce a buying opportunity. We don't know all of the details or what's going to happen, of course, but it might be worth buying this fear. And so far, that appears to be the case. Now, a lot of caveats there. We've got to get through today's session, of course. But we'll see here if we can recapture this 20-day moving average. I would say if we get a green close, that's extremely bullish going into tomorrow. And then the other thing, remember, we talked recently about some seasonality, about the end of June, beginning of July being somewhat weak. We're going to cover that here again. And maybe that starts anew on a seasonality perspective. So we'll see how all that shakes out here. I don't want to do too much here in levels. The big level here that on the SPY, I think is going to be that 591. That was about the overnight low. Unsure if we get back down there and test that, but that is a potential key level down here. You can see on today's candle, that level is actually above the trend line. So I would also then add 588 as a potential downside level here. As far as upside levels go, we'll probably watch the closes from the previous days. This one here that's at like 596. What was this? The high here is 599. Really, 600 is going to be in there again. We'll see if this is constructive. If it is 600, 603, and then maybe those all-time highs, although I don't think we get there today. I really don't think we're getting there today. So, okay, let's break down the news. And then we'll talk about potential trades here. I am actually going to start with HIMS because this news was just breaking, so we don't really have a whole lot about it. So let's set the stage here. And then as we get closer to the open, we can come back and check in on this chart and see if anything has changed. But we'll start with the daily chart here. We had a great chart forming here on HIMS, to be quite honest with you. We have this downward sloping trend line from the all-time high impulse move that went through a recent high. We actually tried to break out from that high. We peaked above, but couldn't close above, came back into this 50 low to mid 50 support. And then we tried to trade back up there. We tried to break this here again, about 65-ish. And we were over the trend line. Now, today's news is completely deleting that. It is removing us below the trend line. It's taking us away from that potential high. We actually lose the 20-day in the process here, and it returns us to this low 50 support level. Actually, the low print we have here in the pre-market was 49.5. That got bought pretty good. If we take a look inside here, you can see that the volume, despite being in the pre-market, still pretty good here. So the buyers are stepping in. Will they be strong enough to support HIMS at this level, or do we retest this lower 50 level? I think that's going to be one of the big questions here. HIMS sitting at minus 16.6%. What's going on here? Him and Hers Health shares are trading lower after Novo Nordisk reportedly terminated its collaboration with the company. So the line we have here in Pro is Novo Nordisk terminates collaboration with Him and Hers Health. Direct access to Wegovy will no longer be available to Him and Hers Health. That comes from the NovaCare pharmacy. Now, this just means that one of its drugs that's clearly caused HIMS to trade up and be such a great momentum stock no longer going to be available. The question that I have is, what do they do to kind of get around this? What's the next move here from HIMS? Again, looking at the chart action here, it sure looks like that low 50s handle is providing some support. And the volume actually looks pretty decent for pre-market volume. Again, we'll see what happens here when the market opens. But that's what's going on here with HIMS. That news dropped this morning, sent the stock down. We're currently holding at about minus 16.5%. So we're going to definitely check in on HIMS here today. I'd like to know if any of you have trade plans on HIMS. I think most in particular here, are you buying this dip? Are you buying this dip? Are you buying the HIMS dip? Keith says, I remember that, Lord Ryan. Mitch wouldn't let it go say after day. Mitch wouldn't let it go day after day. I'm telling you, dude, it was the worst thing ever. I literally moved from my office, which I kept air conditioned. And then when the workday was over, I moved the air conditioner to my bedroom and just wrote. It was no good. I'm glad we're past that here. Knock on wood that I don't have any future issues here. Okay, let's cover the elephant in the room, as they say. I'm going to go through some news here. Then we'll talk about market implications and some stocks to take a look at. I would imagine just by glancing at the movers list here today, there was quite a bit that looks to be moving in sympathy with this. So I would imagine we're going to see plays like that throughout the course of the day here. U.S. stocks likely to open lower. And by the way, S&P futures here sitting at 0.07 to the negative. So down 0.07%. Again, up off the lows, but still negative. U.S. stocks likely to open lower as Iran vows retaliation after U.S. strikes. Quote, worst is now in the rearview mirror, says top analyst. Okay, some positivity on a Monday morning. You guys know I'll take that all day long. U.S. stock futures dipped into the red after a brief rise on Monday morning as tensions continue to flare in the Middle East following American airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities over the weekend that took place on Saturday night into Sunday morning. The 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.397 and the 2-year bond was 3.927. I believe both of those are up a little bit here this morning from the time the article was printed. The other thing, so some of the insights that I wanted to get into here, then we'll talk about the actual conflict. As tensions continue to flare between Israel, the U.S., and Iran, leading analysts remain optimistic regarding the market at the start of the new week. Stop me, breaking news here, Dan Ives is bullish. Let me at least give him his due here. Leading tech analyst Dan Ives shared on Sunday in a post on X that the Iran threat was now, quote, in the rearview mirror, end quote, for the markets. I hope that's the case. I'm not sure I'm quite there yet, but we'll see. That's what makes a market, by the way. He added that the events that took place over the weekend will be seen as, quote, a positive for the growth and stability of the Middle East. Now, I largely agree with that, but there's a lot of ifs in there that just simply aren't done. I understand wanting to take a glass half full approach. That's how I approach life. But I think it's time to be realistic here. I think one of the things that we're waiting for here, what, if any, response is going to come from Iran? And then, of course, how does the U.S. Respond to that? We'll talk a little bit about that here. But Dan Ives saying that, hey, if this is the worst of it, we're past it. And might be a good time. The market will view this Iran threat has now gone, and that a positive for growth in the broader Middle East and ultimately the tech sector. It will take some time for this conflict to settle, but the market will view the worst is now in the rearview mirror. Expect stocks up. Now, remember, we've talked about the market, whether it's a conflict like this or some other event, the market is always looking into the future, sometimes 6 months into the future, which is one of the reasons you see this stuff happen. So again, we'll see if he's correct here. We'll see if it shakes out. Iran has vowed to respond to the strikes, declaring it, quote, it reserves all options, end quote, in the face of U.S. aggression. Ryan Dietrich, our friend here, however, cautioned of a pullback in the markets, often seen in late June, early July in a post-election year. Now, credit to our group here because we've been looking at this for a while. We've been talking about this. Some of our guests have had insight on this seasonality perspective on all of this stuff. So again, still kind of keeping that on the back burner, if you will. Quote, the headlines are the headlines, but don't forget that late June, early July tends to be weak in a post-election year. Here's the tweet. I'll go ahead and throw this story in the chat for anyone that wants it. Here's Dietrich's tweet. It has a great little chart there that kind of outlines the seasonality that we're talking about here. So again, we'll might want to wait this out early July. I'm not necessarily sure, especially with everything that's going on, that big new longs are the right move. We might have a couple of days to kind of plan that out. So get your lists ready in case the market does end up rolling over from here. Next, we have here a little bit more on this. Now, this is really the big part of the conflict. And I didn't really want to focus too much on the actual attack because I'm not necessarily sure how much there is to trade off that attack. it's probably going to be the things that happen afterwards that we're going to be able to trade here. But just as kind of a very, very crude summary, the U.S. undetected flew a mission of multiple B-2 bombers, including decoys, that flew undetected to Iranian airspace and dropped a whole bunch of payload bunker-busting bombs on the nuclear facilities. The early reports are that the nuclear facilities have been devastated. And I understand that there's some reports of uranium being moved and things like that. I would say that that's less of a problem because the infrastructure needed to enrich and work with that uranium have been completely destroyed. So that was the event that took place. The fear here, which is a good one, is the U.S. formally entering this war. Now, I'm obviously someone that doesn't want that, haven't wanted that. It's my hope here that, and it seems like from everything, that there are no further plans here, in particular, boots on the ground. Nonetheless, we do have, I think, like 40K troops stationed in the area. So obviously, thinking about them quite a bit during this time. But enough with the summary. Let's talk about where this can go from here and how we can maybe kind of plan for it or even take advantage of it. Iran threatens that the Strait of Hormuz, after the U.S. bombs its nuclear site, Iran threatens to close the Strait of Hormuz, after bombs hit its nuclear site. And we actually have seen shipping traffic plummet. So on Sunday, user Endgame Macro quoted a post sharing data that showed a substantial dip in vessel crossings through the Strait of Hormuz and the Suez Canal in recent days. The downturn spans multiple ship categories, including crude tankers, container ships, bulk carriers, raising fresh concerns about the mounting geopolitical risk in the Mideast. And we actually saw oil respond to this instantly. The post notes that westbound and eastbound traffic through the Strait of Hormuz is down 10.8% and 11.4%, respectively. Crude oil tanker activity has fallen 9% in both directions, suggesting weaker flows from Gulf producers to Asia and Europe. Even steeper declines were reported in chemical and LPG tankers, down 20.4 and 13.6%, respectively, signaling potential demand slumps and industrial slowdown, particularly in China. Now, this is the key here, because these threats about closing the Strait of Hormuz, it's not just right on its face. China has, and I was actually watching again on CNBC here this morning, China has a very transactional relationship with Iran, and they rely on Iranian oil. I actually have some stats here. Roughly 75% of Asia's oil imports flow through the Strait of Hormuz, compared to just 10 to 15% of Western oil. China alone pulls in over 1.6 million barrels per day via this route, mostly from Gulf suppliers like Saudi Arabia and Iraq, and now more than 80% of its crude travels through the Strait of Hormuz. So if we come back to the threat here about closing that would absolutely cripple one of Iran's allies. And in fact, they were saying on CNBC this morning, China responsible for propping up the Iranian economy because they buy so much oil. So this definitely is going to have an impact on us in a regular basis. Headlines that come out about this, whether it's official, whether they're pondering, all of that stuff is going to make energy and oil volatile, and it's going to give us an opportunity to take advantage of that. So ideas for that. Do we see more of a move here in crude? All of those things, really good ideas for potential trades here. And I'm open to both sides of it. I don't know what's going to happen, so I'm open to both sides of it. I don't generally have a lot of energy positions. So for me, this is going to kind of be a wait and see and feel it out first before we end up taking that. The other thing to note here is that the price of oil is actually going to have more of a ripple effect for us here as we start focusing on the Fed and rate cuts in the later half of the year. Oil has been one of the deflationary commodities here. If that spikes, holds, and continues to move higher, that may change the calculus, and that's absolutely something that we should be prepared for. Anyway, getting back to the article here, at the same time, however, the Cape of Good Hope is absorbing portions of this traffic with a lower pace of decline, clearly hinting at a shift in trade routes as vessels steer clear of the Red Sea. I'm going to give you this article as well, because the tweet that's in here actually has a great screenshot from the Bloomberg terminal that shows these different ship crossings where you can kind of get some of that data. So really interesting stuff. As As tensions continue to flare in the region, markets are watching closely after Iran's parliament voted to authorize a potential closure of the Hormuz Strait on Sunday. And again, these are things that we're going to have to pay attention to. There's probably going to be multiple headlines about that. They're potentially going to close it. They're voting to close it. The actual final decision rests in the hands of the supreme leader. All of these things are going to be going back and forth, and they're certainly going to impact energy and oil markets. China has likewise slammed the U.S. over its strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, saying that it, quote, exacerbated tensions in the Middle East and dealt a heavy blow to the international nuclear non-proliferation regime, end quote. Now, these comments come as no surprise to us, or at least they shouldn't, because China is such a buyer of Iranian oil, and clearly things like that are under pressure, let's say right now. The other thing here to keep in mind, and I don't necessarily know that there's an immediate trade that we can do for this, but the other thing here is that this, again, represents a shift. China and Russia saw what happened here. And they saw that a pack of B-2 bombers flew 36 hours from the middle of the United States undetected into the Middle East and then delivered their payload and got out without even being seen. You better think twice about some of these decisions that you're going to make. And I think China and Russia are kind of seeing that here from this. What will that lead to? Not too sure. The other thing about Russia here is that they're obviously still involved in a conflict with Ukraine. So them coming to aid and really kind of amplifying fighting and boots on the ground, I'm just not sure I see it yet. Again, all things that we should pay attention to. One more here before we actually move to some of the charts. Marco Rubio urges China to intervene, calls Strait of Hormuz closure, quote, economic suicide for Iran, end quote. We retain the option to deal with that. Rubio called on the Chinese government, which has close ties with Iran, to step in, quote, I encourage the Chinese government in Beijing to call them about that because they heavily depend on the Strait of Hormuz for their oil, end quote. It's economic suicide for them if they do it, and we retain options to deal with that. The important part here is that I know there's been a lot of talk back and forth about, well, the administration, they're just firing from the hip. They don't really have a plan. That's all nonsense. Should have believed that was nonsense before. Very, very clear that that's the case now. It certainly appears that they have a number of possible events and next steps already planned for here. And Rubio is kind of alluding to that. Following U.S. airstrikes on 3 key nuclear sites, Iran's foreign minister warned that the Islamic Republic, quote, reserves all options to defend its sovereignty, end quote. Iran's parliament has backed the idea of closing the Strait of Hormuz, but the final decision lies with Iran's National Security Council. The Strait of Hormuz is a vital trade route with approximately 20 million barrels of crude passing through it daily, accounting for 20% of global consumption. If the strait were closed for an extended period, oil prices could soar over $100 per barrel, according to experts. Again, no guarantee that this happens, but this would certainly have an impact on a ton of stocks that we trade here. And it behooves us to stay on top of this. The recent U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities have sparked concerns about the potential repercussions of global oil prices. China, a key player in this scenario, has warned of spiraling escalation in the Middle East and demanded an immediate ceasefire at the UN. The situation has the potential to significantly impact global oil prices as market analysts and traders assess the situation. Earlier, the CEO of Shell, Wael Sawan, had expressed concern over the escalating conflict between Israel and Iran, warning of a potential, quote, huge impact on global trade, end quote. The Strait of Hormuz, a major artery for the world's oil trade, is of strategic importance, and any blockade could send shockwaves through the energy market. Meanwhile, energy analyst firm Kepler, I think that's how you pronounce it, stated oil prices may surge between 7 and 10% post airstrikes. China's response to the U.S. is to call for subsequent actions in the region and will closely be watched by the global community, especially given China's role in the global trade. So going back to the charts here, the first question that I have here is, where's the next trade, right? If we take a look at some of these oil stocks, and I'm going to start with some of the bigger ones, I'm sure this is going to spill over into some of the smaller names. I mean, we've seen stuff like INDO, HUSA, IMPP, some of these little small caps really move on the back of the larger macro issue. But we're going to start here with some of the bigger names. Here's Exxon. You can see Exxon still up 1.5% here in the pre-market. And although it's come off its highs, it's doing a pretty good job holding up. And one of the things I want to see is, do some of these oil and LNG companies hold any of these gains, or do they bleed any of them back? Worth noting, if we take a look at USO, which is the ETF, the United States Oil Fund here, this pretty much erased the entire move that it had from the close on Friday. So again, a lot of moving parts here. I wish I could tell you I know exactly what's going to happen, but that would be a blatant lie, and that's not what we do here. So we're going to continue to watch some of these. I'd be curious to know from you folks, is anyone interested in energy? Does energy, whether it's an ETF like the sector ETF or an individual name, small cap or large cap, is this appealing to anyone? A review of our XLE chart, because we've also been charting this recently prior to the actual weekend strikes. A lot of it has been due to what's going on here, but prior to the weekend strikes, we've actually been looking at XLE here, and XLE actually has an interesting chart spot. Not only are we beneath the top end of this ascending wedge that we're trying to break out from, but we're doing an extremely good job over the past few sessions holding above the 200-day. Now, XLE here up just about 0.5% here this morning. Is it able to hold these gains? Do we give up this 200-day? Do we make a move back down to the bottom end of the wedge or the 50-day moving average? I think these are all questions that we're going to have to look for over the next several sessions here. And I think we're going to learn a lot about that here today. So I'd asked straight up, are any of you interested in the energy sector? Big B's, yes, period. Yes. So let me ask you, Big B's, what are you looking for here, both in targets, like actual tickers, and then also time horizons? Because again, with a fluid situation here, I feel like this could swing back and forth. And part of the issue that I'm having right now is that I'm not necessarily sure how to position for this. Lion answering me directly here. I prefer XOM, which is ExxonMobil. We just took a look at that. This actually looks like it's trying to break out from this sideways formation here. We're already above the 200-day. We do have a gap fill up here to 118, so that makes a lot of sense, Lion. 120, a previous resistance area. If we can get above, maybe we then go to some of the more recent highs up here. What is this? 126-ish? 126-ish. And then the other one that you said that you liked was CVX. So then my follow-up question here is, are these going to be swings, short-term swings? What are we kind of looking at here? Are we basing this just off news flow? Are we incorporating the chart? Here's a look at CVX. You can see this with the move here today in the pre-market. Same deal, moving above its 200-day. So a lot of these have some pretty interesting charts to go along with the macro catalyst, if you will, that's causing a lot of movement here. So again, really good stuff there. Day trader, I hold several energy stocks. These are some of these are a little bit smaller. ET, PBR, OKE, and SD. I would imagine that entire basket is up today. Is that a correct assumption, day trader? That would be my guess. That would be my guess. Kathy, bringing up another good point here. And again, this is one of the reasons why I think following news flow, maybe even reports on tanker crossings and traffic are actually going to be really important to us. Kathy says, even if Iran agrees to keep Hormuz open, there is uncertainty as to whether ships will continue to have confidence in the safety of the waters there. This is 100% correct and an excellent point. In fact, I believe one of the guests on CNBC this morning was talking about how they observed via satellite a ship actually turning around and taking a different route. Curious to see if that continues. Kathy, obviously it could get worse. That's one of the other things here. And then we would kind of look for that spike in oil that we just talked about from some of the other analysts, another 7 to 10% from here. So really heads up there. Heads up stuff, Kathy. Okay. Let's see here. EKS, good morning. It's good to see you again, my man. Oil and gas, the bull ETF. This is the direction levered ETF Gush. I think Gush and Drip are the ones that you folks talk about. This up 3.2%. That actually might make a pretty decent trade as well. Now, one more thing, one other angle here. It wasn't really covered in the articles that we shared about, because I really do think oil and energy are going to be a primary focus here. But for some of the some other options might be some of the defense names. First, we're going to start. I'm just going to give a couple of them because I think we should probably watch this more than anything. First one that I'm going to give here is NOC, ticker NOC, and this is Northrop Grumman, and this one is for obvious reasons. The B-2 bombers that were used in this mission, this incredibly successful and precise and well-coordinated mission, they were developed by Northrop Grumman. That is the Northrop B-2 Spirit bomber. This is the primary company that did it. Will they see a boost from this? Tough to know. They are up 0.5% here, and look at that, stock price holding above the 200-day. Have to wonder if this is going to act as a support. In addition to Northrop Grumman, one of the primary subcontractors on the B-2 airplane was Boeing. Boeing has been making a lot of news recently. Several of you folks have been trading this recently. This also might be in play here today. Here's a look at Boeing. It looks like we are slightly lower than the close on Friday. So we'll see here if Boeing turns around. Again, going back to the daily chart, you can see that we recently retested the trend line. This trend line here goes all the way back to the impulse high prior to COVID. That March high in 2019. So we basically tested this trend line, did not have the strength to get above it. Boeing here a little bit weak in the pre-market. Another one here to take a look at is going to be RTX. RTX, this is Raytheon. They are a primary missile builder. And one of the things that's going on with this is that if I'm not mistaken, this company also helps supply Israel's Iron Dome. Obviously, that's been getting a lot of use recently. They're certainly going to want to replenish those missiles. Maybe there's a trade to be made here with RTX. This stock up 0.9 here this morning. So the defense names, you could also throw Lockheed Martin in there. That's ticker LMT. These defense names, LMT also, by the way, pretty interesting chart. I know when we first started talking about this, we kind of highlighted this back and forth area. This was the genesis from one of the conversations with Mark Petrino about potential bottoms often being formed in this way rather than being formed in a V. And we have some pretty clear indications on where this might go. We are actually currently trying to retest a upward sloping trend line from the downside. We've really been unable to break above that since March of this year. Tested it a number of times. We'll see here if Lockheed Martin has the strength to do that. Also worth noting that your 200-day right above that trend line here at the round 500 number. So that is certainly going to play some resistance there. So again, if you're just focusing on the global stuff that happened, there should be a bunch of different tickers here to trade. And it doesn't require you picking a side, right? If you think that whatever is going on in the conflict, if that's going to result in higher oil prices and good for energy stocks, there's a potential target. If you think that the defense angle might kick up, if things escalate, that might be a target. And then, of course, if you think the world's going to end, a short might be a target. I would caution against the last approach there. That has not proven to be very good. Big B's also this is a really good one, Big B's. Thank you for mentioning this. Big B's also mentioning KTOS, which is one of the bigger movers here. This one I believe these were all-time highs, were they not? Yeah. This was flirting with new all-time highs. It set one recently, looking like it's trying to break out there. Stock up just shy of 2% here today on the back of all of that. So a lot of options here based on what's going on. And a lot of back and forth that we could play. I know I can't wait to bring 13 into this discussion because we're going to talk a lot about what this could mean, what we can do going forward, so on and so forth. Okay. Let's see. What else do you have? Let's see. Did I miss anything? Line here saying the war just started. The worst is yet to come. That remains to be seen. That remains to be seen. In the Iranian administration is absolutely in shambles right now. There was a really good guest this morning on CNBC that said the reality of what's going on there is that you have an 86-year-old guy that's living in a bunker. He hasn't left Iran since the 80s. So really how, and all of the scientists have been murked. So how effective are they actually going to be? That remains to be seen. Again, I'm always going to be a glass half full guy. It's just how I am. My hope is that this is the worst of it. And from here, it can keep getting better. Again, We'll see if that's the case. Okay, I do have a couple of other stories here that I want to go through. This, to me, was the most important. I wanted to make sure we had enough time for this. I'm going to knock out some of these two other stories here real quick, and then we can go to chart time. We can take a look at any of the charts that you folks want. We'll spend more time on that today than we normally do here today, given everything that's going on. But let me finish off some of the news here. It would not be a morning show without some news about the Robotaxi battle that's going on right now. Tesla launches Robotaxi in Austin. Elon Musk calls it, quote, a culmination of a decade of hard work, end quote. The rollout, which was seen as a small-scale event with over 10 Tesla Model Y robotaxis, took place in Austin's South Congress neighborhood on Sunday. The event was invite-only, and Tesla created a dedicated app for the riders, who were mostly social media influencers. Don't even get me started on that. To book similar or other ride-hailing apps like Uber. There's a couple of videos there. I'll be honest, I told myself going into this weekend and the Juneteenth holiday coupled with the weekend that I was going to have a good time and I was going to touch grass. And so I'm very proud to report that I didn't pay attention to any social media influencers over the course of the weekend. So your guess is as good as mine on what they think about that. I'll let the market tell me how they react. I think I trust the market and the price action a little bit more than social media influencers, but that might just be showing my age. Tesla also had safety monitors seated in the front seats during the ride. The safety monitors were Tesla employees overseeing the operations, though there were no confirmations about how much control they had, given that the Robotaxi was operating on unsupervised full self-driving mode. The EV giant CEO Elon Musk took to social media to hail the launch on social media. Musk called the launch, quote, a culmination of a decade of hard work. As we discussed in his post, shared that both the AI chip as well as the software team responsible for the Robotaxi were built from scratch within Tesla. The launch comes as Tesla has been teasing the company's arrival in the self-driving taxi sector to take on players like Alphabet's Waymo and Amazon's Zoox. Is that how you pronounce it? Zoox, Z-O-O-X? I would imagine. While Waymo had announced its expansion into more parts of California, and the company is also conducting trials in other parts of the U.S., Zoox set up a second production facility in California, which could help the company scale its robotaxi operations. Scale, the big thing for me that kind of separates Waymo and Tesla. So anything on the ability to scale there and the speed at which they can scale, I think would be a huge boom for Waymo. Tesla, meanwhile, has been under the scrutiny of safety regulators in the U.S., and the NHTSA has been reviewing the company's responses to the questions posed by the agency over full self-driving performance in poor weather conditions. Musk had previously also stated that Tesla is working closely with the billionaire's AI venture XAI to corroborate and develop robotics as well as autonomous driving. So Tesla stock, I don't even need to tell you folks about Tesla stock. It's obviously one of the best movers here, and it's actually having a pretty good morning with everything that's going on. Here's a look at the intraday chart on Tesla. We did move higher initially on this, still under 330. Came back down here. This is the move with the broader market, which is getting bought back up again. So I got to think that, first of all, this pre-market high is going to be important, but also 330 as we approach that here. If we take a look back at the daily chart to get a more complete picture of what we're looking at here on Tesla, we do have the 20-day just shy of that 330 level at 329. I would imagine that would be pretty important here today. And then we do have some pretty significant areas as above, as well as a downward sloping trend line that we're going to need to get over. So if Tesla is going to move higher from here, it's got its work cut out for it on the chart. We can probably just pay attention to that and figure out where the next move might be. So that's what's going on here with Tesla. Last story that I wanted to briefly talk about. I don't really think there's a whole lot we can do here, but it is exciting because it's about Apple and AI, which Apple has absolutely lacked. Apple eyes Perplexity AI acquisition while facing shareholder lawsuit over exaggerated AI progress. So what's going on here? Adrian Perica, Apple's head of mergers and acquisitions, floated the idea with senior leaders, including services chief Eddie Q, citing people familiar with the matter. This is citing the potential here of acquiring Perplexity. The talks are still in the early stages, and to date, no direct outreach to Perplexity has occurred. Perplexity AI, responding to the publication, stated, quote, "We have no knowledge of any current or future M&A discussions involving Perplexity." On Friday, Apple was sued by shareholders who claim the company misled investors about how quickly advanced AI features, especially improvements to Siri, would be integrated. This is something that we have covered at great length earlier. The complaint, filed in San Francisco federal court, accuses Apple executives, including CEO Tim Cook, of downplaying delays in AI's development, which allegedly impacted iPhone sales and stock value. Apple's still hovering right around the 200 level. It's been a huge performer. Since peaking in December of 2024, however, the company has seen a decline of nearly $900 billion in market value. So we'll see here if this is going to be a boon for Apple. The reason that this caught my eye in particular is because Perplexity, of all of the LLMs that I use on a regular basis, Perplexity probably my go-to unless I'm on my mobile device. I just use Grok. But otherwise, if I'm on my computer, especially my laptop, my go-to is Perplexity. And if this gets kind of wrapped into Apple's ecosystem, I think that this represents an immediate advancement in Apple's AI technology, even if they just took over another company. Perplexity does a great job. I know some of you folks end up using that here quite a bit. So I'm curious. I'm curious if this is going to be a mover for Apple. And then I'm curious what they can actually get done in terms of improving some of their AI offerings, most notably Siri. So we'll see here where all that shakes out. But that is also making the rounds here today. Okay. All right. I think that's it for the news. Let's go into tickers. Day Trader says, I've never tried Perplexity. You have experience with other large language models, though, don't you? I'd be curious as to your opinion on that. That to me seems important. Okay, let's see here. We want to take a look at some other stocks here real quick. Let me scroll up and see. Boeing, we did take a look at Boeing here. You know what? Let's review a couple of those early tickers that were moving and see what happened. HIMS. So this one did move. So we were talking about this initially. This was bouncing. This is actually taking another leg lower. It looks like it's trying to bounce off that impulse low. I'll tell you what, just based on the chart, this sure doesn't. This looks like this is going to try and test lower. Stock down 22.6% here on HIMS. So the big thing that I'd be thinking here on HIMS is we really want to have some type of indication that this thing has bottomed intraday here today. Maybe it is a queue with volume. Maybe it is a candle formation. Maybe we get another piece of news coming out here. But for this, I would say that I'm not even going to try to pick the actual bottom here. I would wait and see where this confirms that it might be done selling off. Right now, this thing's in free fall. Actually, it looks like we're about to take the third leg lower here today. Okay, so that's HIMS. What was some of the other stocks we were taking a look at? Boeing was one of them. They've actually moved to the downside here, and we took a look at some of those defense stocks. So, okay, real quick here, let's see. What else do we have? Lots of insider selling on HIMS. You think they knew something, James? Oh, this is Boeing, not HIMS. Insider selling on Boeing too, by the way. That goes back to earlier this year. But here we go. So there was some insider selling up here, and particularly the CEO. Is that actually the CEO? Yeah, it is. So interesting stuff there, James. Looks like somebody knew something, didn't they? News here on DJT. Can't imagine. Let's see. We get here. We did actually get some news here. DJT spiking a little bit in the pre-market, retracing half of that. Trump media shares trading higher after the company announced a $400 million share repurchase authorization. Okay, that is some news that created a pop there. I don't think that's enticing me to buy it, though. Let's take a look at the daily chart here on DJT. Down here at a support level. I will say, at least for a potential trade here, if you're using the chart, pretty clear sign here, right? First of all, we could extend this trend line. This gives us a target for the stock to hit, as well as some of those moving averages, most notably that 26 one. I'll be honest with you, this doesn't do anything for me. This is still day trade only. This is still day trade only. Okay, let's see. What else do we have in here? SMCI. SMCI. You know what? It's actually been a minute since we've taken a look here at SMCI. We did a really good job covering its downfall as well as the shady accounting. I guess we'll just leave it at that. It's really kind of traded sideways since then. The one caveat to that is we had one nice move on volume. I believe this was following an earnings report that took us above the 200 and tested that trend line, but we couldn't break it. Now it looks like we're setting up for another test of the trend line here. Supermicro is still in this sideways area here. 44.5 looks to be the top end of that range. 41 looks to be the bottom end of that range. Supermicro shares are trading lower by 3.5%. After the company announced a proposed $2 billion convertible senior note offering. So it looks like the up move here, not yet anyway. Here's the move down in the pre-market on this news. It's getting bought here. As with all offerings, if the offering gets bought completely and the stock really doesn't continue to get pounded, that's generally a good sign. I don't know if that's what's going to happen here on SMCI, but this is your news here today. We're still holding below Friday's intraday lows. By the way, new low just set here on HIMS 48.40 in the pre-market as that continues, to extend its losses. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have here? Intel, INTC. This has been kind of a lame duck recently. Here's you look at your Intel chart on the daily. Really just kind of traded sideways. Now, I am going to move back to one of the initial things that we talked about with Intel when it made its move down to this range here. Definitely felt like having a leadership change in the C-suite was going to be a positive. They did that. Looks like they got the right guy in Lip Bhutan. We'll see again how it shakes out. The big thing to note here is that when you're turning around a ship, especially a ship the size of Intel, let's compare it to a giant oil tanker, if you will. It takes a while to turn these things around. So the fact that we're trading sideways here and really not breaking down, great. My big problem with Intel, I don't know what the next big positive catalyst to move us out of this consolidation range is. I mean, sure, we can follow options, we can follow news flow, but really it's going to be price is going to determine this. And so if we can actually break out of here, maybe there will be a trade. You can see that the last couple of times we've tried that, we even actually set up hypothetical trades using some of these moving averages. It really just couldn't hold the strength. Really good call from someone in the Benzinga community about Intel, some boots on the ground observations that led to about a $3 move in Intel, but it was very, very short lived and it really didn't continue that. I'm open to, there being a potential future trade here on Intel, but I just don't see it based on the news flow that's going right now. I really don't. Okay. Let's see. Good morning, Jay Rice. It's great to see you. You are, is it another day, another gap up? So this is actually interesting, Jay. I'm actually glad that you brought this up. I'll be honest. Last week, this candle, boy, oh boy, the close on Friday, this candle sure looked ominous, man. That absolutely looks like a blow off top. I think 13 calls that a shooting or gravestone. I can't, I'll have to ask him. I don't want to misquote him. But this sure didn't look like a great candle here. Stock is up another 5.5%. I would watch this level up here, 210.5. Okay. I'll see if we can get above that. Otherwise, maybe we get a move back lower here. Honestly, given the move that it's had and it's completely overcooked 89 RSI, a move back down, probably not terrible for it. Really good stuff, though. Again, this has been an incredible trade. Okay. It's time for 13. It is what I have been waiting for pretty much all weekend. Let's go ahead and see how he's doing. 13. Good morning, my man. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How's everybody? Waiting all weekend, huh?
I was waiting all weekend. I was like, you know what? I need some more 13 in my life. We're going to have some stuff to talk about on Monday. It's super hot. So I was just trying to think about something other than that. And when I thought, oh man, it's super hot and I'm complaining about it, I thought to myself, 13 lives in Texas. He probably laughs this heat right off his shoulders.
Oh yeah, I was out yesterday putting up 4 outdoor ceiling fans. Heat's not a problem.
Oh, to be clear, I was outside yesterday in the heat. I just didn't enjoy it. I just didn't enjoy it at all. Yeah, I had to get the bug guts cleaned off my car from my drive on Saturday. So,
Oh, you must have been going pretty fast.
average speed of 72 miles an hour, but I was on the highway, so it's totally legal. So don't try that at home, kids. Okay, 13. We got a lot of stuff that happened over the weekend. Where do you want to start here today? We can do movers if you want. There isn't really a whole lot on there. We did have one Bitcoin treasury name here today, so we're definitely going to take a look at that at some point. But if there are other macro things that you want to cover, or maybe some bigger stocks that you want to cover, we can do that too. We've got plenty of time here, about 40 minutes until the open. So let's cover everything.
Let's get these movers out of the way, since that's a short list.
Perfect.
Anyway.
Perfect. Then we'll come back here, folks. That gives you folks an opportunity to let us know what other tickers you want us to take a look at. But on 13's command, we will go ahead. We will go ahead and take a look at the movers here. First one here going to be IBO, and actually 13. This one was not on my list earlier. This looks like this was moving kind of recently. So understand if you didn't cover this one as well. Let me see. IBO here. We did have some news here this morning. Impact Biomedical and Dr. Ashley's announced merger and share exchange agreement. Dr. Ashley's to acquire Impact Biomedical through a reverse merger. So part of me wonders if there's even a trade here. Reverse merger stocks. This was a penny stock. God, this was like a 40-cent stock that moved to $1 here. Looks like it's still moving around. 5.18% of the float shorted with 1 day to cover. It comes on a average volume of just shy of 10 million. We've traded 90 million today. What do you think here? Did you even look at this one?
Yeah, I did. I tried to see if I could get an idea of just, how much this is going to, or where this is going to go with this merger. But being that this is like a share exchange, don't know how much of a trade is here. But I did look at some levels, so I could try to see if where we could possibly get resistance. Certainly, we're up at 123 as the high in the pre-market here, but it looks like this is already starting to roll over. I was looking for 140 to be the resistance area, but didn't quite get there. It's above the VWAP, so if this holds up, we could still see that 140 print. But I think, like you, this isn't one that I am really expecting to do some special things, but maybe it does. And if it does, then I have some levels that we can look at if it goes higher. I mean, look at 140, 230, and 305 if we end up getting that kind of height out of it. But I'm just not so sure. I don't really have much of an idea where this is going to go. So that's all I've got for IBO. It's just a merger. Okay.
And yeah, I'll be honest, this is, with everything else going on, this is probably going to be on my pass list, but we'll keep it on the back burner. We'll see what happens. Next here on the list is going to be CDTX. This is a stock that we have absolutely talked about before. This also popping here on a piece of news. Cidara Therapeutics is the name of the company, announces positive top-line results from its phase 2B Navigate trial evaluating CD388, a non-vaccine preventative of seasonal influenza. You can see this popped all the way to 48, backed off that spot considerably, although we are trading here at about $40. This stock is up 91% on the back of this news from the phase 2 trial. A huge move here. The study met its primary endpoint, demonstrating a statistically significant prevention efficacy for each of the 3 dose groups. So pretty positive news here. Quick look around the horn. 3.66% of the float shorted. I tell you what, 474,000 shares held short, 13. Those folks are having a rough day with this thing up 90%. Good Lord. Days to cover on this, 2.27. That comes on average volume of about 181,000 shares. Today we've traded 1.25 million. What do you think here, 13?
I think we're about to hit 42. I had a couple of levels marked off on this, but when I was going over it, 40 and 42 were the next levels. We've been running up to 40 and trying to get through that for the past 20 minutes or so. Just finally broke through it, and we're trying to go for 42. I can figure out some levels beyond 42, but those were the next 2 levels I was looking at. We're almost there. So with that aside, this phase 2B for their top line results. This is for seasonal influenza, and they are going to be releasing additional info at scientific conferences throughout the remainder of this year. So I don't have a list of what those conferences they're going to be attending are or presenting at, but we can expect that there will be some future headlines about where they're presenting regarding this specific phase 2 result. later this year. They also have submitted a end of phase 2 meeting request for the FDA to go over the results and to talk about the phase 3 framework. So what I'm getting at with these is that you do have some future catalysts coming up with this. Now, one point is usually with some other biotech companies, you would see that submission of a phase 2 meeting or a request like that to the FDA usually would be a PR pump with some of these other biotechs, but they went ahead and just did that, and that's not the big news here today. It's their top line results. So just wanted to point that out, that there's other things in here that we can draw on for future catalysts for CDTX. I don't think they're going to need to raise any cash. Seems like they have a good amount of it. They do burn it at a rate of about 20 to 25 million a quarter, but they have over 160 million in the bank. So that burn rate, that's a pretty good runway for now. Well, 12.9 million shares in the float. This thing, has a lot of potential this morning. So we'll see what we end up getting. It's trading above VWAP right now. Is getting some resistance at 40. So we'll see what we end up getting out of the gate. But I think I have a lot more confidence in this one than some of the other ones that we'll be discussing here as far as movers go.
Okay, and we actually have a pretty sweet intraday pre-market formation here on CDTX. To my eye here, it sure looks like it wants to go higher and maybe test some of those levels that you have there. So was it 42 or 42 and a half that you had there?
40 and 42 are the next levels I have. Yep.
Okay, and we're right at one of those. So, okay, perfect. Really good stuff there. Okay, next here on the list is going to be HUSA. This is Houston American Energy. This is one that we've seen move before on a number of these headlines that have to do with energy and oil. You can see this stock popped above 22 before coming back into a 19 handle. We're right beneath its VWAP, although it isn't really breaking down. So perhaps there will be some more trading action here on this one. Stock is up just shy of 30% on no news here today, other than what's going on globally. If we take a look at the short interest here, pretty huge short interest as of the last read on June 10th here, 28.23% of the float shorted. That comes on 1.33 days to cover. Looks like did they recently have a split or something that would account for this? I'll check that here in a sec. Average volume, 1 million shares. Today we've traded 1.1 million shares, floats 1.5 million. So 13, you think your Houston Energy Services gets a move here today? And by the way, on June 9th, we did do a 1-for-10 split. So that's why that short interest or short percent of float calculation looks so odd. What do you got here? HUSA.
This one and INDO, which is also moving this morning, they're pretty much moving on the same thing due to the whole situation with the Middle East and Iran. And is there going to be, a shutting of the Strait of Hormuz? A lot of question marks. So you're going to see stocks like this run. We've already covered this one. Not going to get too much into it. It has, let's see, what's the float rating that Benzinga has? My broker has 1.5 million shares. This one about the same, 1.56. So very, very small float. You pointed out why. I would just be focusing on where this potentially could go, and I would just be looking at the support and resistance areas. The supply zones, demand zones, things of that nature. It looks like 65 EMAs, the next support area would be getting close to here. That's got a value of 1869. That looks to be at a pretty close to some support and resistance areas in the 18 handle. So we'll see if we end up getting some support from that on the way down. But this is run multiple times. I wouldn't be surprised if we did get some kind of pop out of the gate and then it just trailed off, unless we got some other news about the situation developing out of the Middle East again that could cause oil to rise. So I think that's really what it's coming down to is that volatility causing stocks like this to move, and we just need to follow the technicals because I don't think there's anything fundamental about this right now.
Okay, I'm with you 100% on that. I think that's absolutely correct. Okay, couple of other things here. Looks like OP. This is Ocean Pal. The stock is up 57%. I appear to be having a problem with pulling the chart here. This also was on no news. Short interest, 0.34% of the float shorted. That comes on 1 day to cover, and that comes on 2.34 million shares of volume. Traded 12.5 million here. Did you even have OP on your list? This thing popped as high as 350. It's been bleeding back ever since.
I saw that this was on my list. This is actually up higher than that INDO and HUSA at one point. But I didn't cover this one. I'm just going to take a look at the chart here and say, let's just wait and see what happens at the open. It's starting to curl back up. It's looking like it's trying to go to recapture its VWAP, which I have at 244. You might have a different value. But it's making its way up. MACD is curling back up. So I think with this one, we do have half an hour. Maybe it starts to, maybe we get this move over VWAP before we open. But I would be keeping an eye on this one for some movement in the pre-market here up towards the VWAP. There's a clear resistance area at about 250, 255. It's just above my VWAP. So if we do get a break of that VWAP, look for that resistance to also hold as well.
Okay, good stuff there on OP. Really quickly, just want to take a break here. I definitely want to shout this comment out. Definitely be safe today and stay cool if you're in the heat wave zone. C-Dub, I really appreciate this. Definitely check in on your elderly neighbors. So this is something that we sometimes don't often think about. When I was younger, my grandmother had a friend who nearly lost her life just because it was hot one day in Chicago and didn't have AC. So definitely check in on those that are elderly. I think this is a really good mention here, C-Dub. Appreciate that. Appreciate you looking out. Definitely be careful. Okay.
CDX at 42?
Hey,
oh, yeah. Look at that.
We went right through the 40.
Wow. Okay. Well,
okay,
that was a level.
So we need some new ones.
All right. Well, yeah, give me a second. You go ahead and talk a little bit, and I'll give you some levels.
No problem. I'm actually just going to run through a couple of these other ones really quick, 13. You're welcome to come back to these, but these are all kind of moving. I don't think there's anything special here. TMDE, believe we traded this last week. Yep, this was on Monday of last week. This is popping again here on a Monday in the pre-market, and again, bleeding everything back. So fool you once, oh, shame on you, fool you twice, or however the saying goes. I totally just butchered it there. Just be careful with TMDE here. We've seen how this one kind of performs. Not great. So just be careful with this. Again, quick look around the horn. Short interest here, pretty much negligible. Float, I don't have a float reading here, and we've traded about the average volume already here today. No new news on this one. 9, this is another one here. This is moving. It's up 27% here. It's another energy name. Again, no news here. Probably fits into the theme that we were talking about. INDO, same deal. RBNE here. This is Robin Energy. This also fits in there. Again, no fresh news. Just seems to be moving with everything else that's going on here. There is one that I wanted to get to really quick, though, and that's going to be SQNS. And the reason that I wanted to get to this is because this stock is moving on a theme that we have identified recently. Sequins unveils $384 million strategic investment to launch Bitcoin Treasury initiative, and the stock jumps. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add that to the Bitcoin Treasury watch list as per our theme here, or what we've been doing. Quick look around the horn here. The stock does have a float of 40 million shares, and on average it trades only 66,000. So this is one of those that if you don't hit a move intraday here today, just be careful, because if this returns to its previous volume levels, you might be trapped, or you might not get the price that you want. Today we've traded 8.5 million, and if we take a look here at the chart, you can see it don't look great. It don't look great. It did pop, but it's come back in. We'll see if this is able to kind of firm up at all or give us any type of upside move. The action here in the pre-market, though, not great on the back of this catalyst. Okay, 13. What do you got next? Oh, ECDA as well. Hang on, because that one actually was not on my list. Crow, what would we do without you, Crow? ECDA, here you go. This is ECD Automotive. Oh, it's not on there because it's a penny stock. Crow's looking out for you penny players here. Really quickly, ECD Automotive Design shares are trading higher after the company signed a $500 million equity facility to pursue Bitcoin Treasury. So we'll go ahead and add that to the watch list here as well. I'm not going to spend too much time on a penny stock. This is a good mention, Crow. It is up 139%. So maybe we'll check back in on this when the market opens, but that's what's going on here. All right, 13, where do you want to go next?
Well, I was just looking at CDX and putting out some more levels. I think it seems to me like there's a level almost every dollar increment up from 42, but I do see an area about 43.75 that looks like we could get some resistance. We almost hit that actually in the pre-market here. But after that, I'd be looking at 45, 46, and 48 afterwards. Those seem to stand out to me the most.
Okay.
Now, we did hit 48.68 in the pre-market earlier this morning around 7:15. So after this move through 42, if we start to come back in a little bit, I'd be looking at 40 to provide support. And if we do end up getting that, then that might be a good reload area. So that's where I'd be looking at for now. And the pre-market going into the open is $40 support.
Okay, there you go. You had a direct question here. Joe's asking, I'd like to hear more details about how you would play CDTX today. Is it a blue sky at the moment, a blue sky breakout on that?
I mean, there's a lot of disagreement on what constitutes a blue sky. Some folks say there's no price action ever, and we're going up and printing new, price discovery. Some folks say that that's a blue sky breakout, or it's for a prolonged period of time that we haven't seen these prices as a blue sky breakup. So, however you want to view it or call it, that's up to you. But this is we're hitting price we haven't hit since I think 2023. So it's been some time since we've been up here. I would just be drawing on those levels because those folks may still be trapped there if they're still holding the stock.
As far as the blue sky, I've always learned a blue sky breakout to be a break to the all-time highs. So Joe, on the latter of your question there, I would say this is a resounding no. It is absolutely not a blue sky moment. That's just the way that I would look at it. However, as 13 mentioned, we are coming back into previous levels. I think that 42 level, that was very, very clear, right? That one really kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. But above that here, we do have some more. So if we do continue to make a run here, 48, I think 13, you might even mention that, maybe even 63. Unsure how high we get here on CDTX, but no, I would say it's not a blue sky. Good stuff there, though. Okay. And then you guys were asking about Zeta. I know this was on the movers list here. It did pop earlier today. Was there any news here on Zeta? I don't have anything here. Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like there's anything new here. Omnichannel data-driven cloud platform. It is up 14% here, but I don't see any news on that. Maybe there's something else that's going there. We'll see if we can find that. Okay, 13, I think that's it here for the movers, unless there's anything else that you want to take a look at. Otherwise, we can go through some of the stocks that folks want to take, or that folks had suggested. I have a list here. So you just want to get started?
Yeah, let's go ahead and see what folks want to talk about today.
Okay, I'm going to actually jump to one that Kathy had mentioned here because, unfortunately, Kathy, I dropped the ball for you here today. I did not start with the morning report because of the global macro things that are happening here. Kathy's asking thoughts about the AMRZ, AmRise IPO today. So you know what that does. That's going to queue up the morning update powered by Benzinga Pro. I actually don't have that one on here. I did have this .ai one on there. I'm not sure what to make of that. But AmRise here, I'm not sure what this is. I actually would have to look this up. I haven't had an opportunity to do that. 13, I understand I'm going to you cold here. Do you know what AmRise is?
I'm reading about it right now. It looks like this is a spin-off from Holcim or Holcim. I don't know how to pronounce that, but apparently this is a Swiss company, I think.
Yeah, they're spinning. It's already on the Swiss exchange, but they're also IPOing here today on the American exchange.
Okay. So as I'm finding more about it, I'll know what this is. It seems like I don't know anything about it, to be honest, but I'm just kind of reading about it right now. But that's all I've got so far. So let me see if I can process some more, and I can give you a better answer on that. But yeah, I don't think I'd be trading this unless I see some kind of a setup like I did with Chime. I took a quick trade on that one, got $1. So if it does the same thing, then I'll take it. If not, then I'll just wait and see what it does. Because like I said, don't know anything about this company. Yeah,
I don't know much about it either. The only trade situation, I'm sorry I don't have more for you, Kathy, because this is a legitimate question on something that might go crazy here today. And I'm actually still just kind of, IPOs have never really been my thing. And of course, the last IPO I chose to trade just went down instead of going up and going up by 100% like CoreWeave and Circle, but that's neither here nor there. Not sure what to expect of this, but here we go. So you got a PR here. Thank you, producer. AmRise is building North America as a partner of choice for professional builders with advanced branded solutions from foundation to rooftop.
Oh,
its 19,000 teammates uniquely serve every construction market from infrastructure, commercial, and residential to new build, repair, and refurbishment.
So
stuff,
does that
producer.
mean? Does that? Thank you. I mean, does that? I mean, it's kind of a joke here, but is this going to be IKEA quality?
There you go. We'll see. We'll do some more.
No, this is interesting. It is interesting.
It is interesting. It is interesting to me. I just feel like I don't know enough about it to really make educated decisions at this point.
Yeah, but if there's a we need more homes built. It seems like they're going to throw in their professional builders from Switzerland into the America lot. I guess I don't know. I'm kind of just thinking out loud here, but that's interesting because it seems like there is a bit of a need for inventory. Anyway, we'll see how this ends up trading. Okay. When is it supposed to come out? Like around. There's no scheduled time, but probably around 1 p.m.
The times, I'll be honest with you, IPO times, even if they do list them, sometimes are not reliable. So it is what it is. Really quickly here, while we're at the morning report, I just wanted to cover up our review a couple more things. Remember, DAIC is going to be your other IPO here today. ASTS, Astis Space Mobile, which we spent a lot of time talking about last week. They actually got a sector perform here, $45 price target from Scotiabank. Sphere Entertainment got a $75 price target. The reason I remember this is because Matt Maley made a couple of trades on this that were phenomenal a while ago. FMC 13, here you go. FMC getting an overweight rating from Wells Fargo. That was a nightmare for me. Estee Lauder also got a buy rating here. SMR from our nuclear theme got a buy rating here. Did the downgrade here that ASTS, although it was initiation, actually is a downgrade here. Lineage, was there anything else in here that was crazy? Howard Hughes got a downgrade here. And then, VTR. Was someone asking about this one? I can't remember. Anyway, not a whole lot here today, honestly, and I didn't see a whole lot here for earnings. I guess we'll see what happens from KB Homes. And then as far as these conferences here today, the only one, well, actually, there's two. Actually, now that I look at this, the Amgen one, the Diabetes Association, maybe there's some news there, but TEM also presenting here at Cowen's 4th Annual Tools DX Revolution Conference. So that's been TEM's been a good trader for us before. We'll see if that gives us another trade. Okay, let me go to the main chart tool here. We're going to start with Bull. Dwayne was waiting patiently. Thank you, Dwayne, by the way, for waiting patiently and not spamming. That is really awesome. We'd be happy to take a look at Bull here. The chart, not great. Daily chart here, not great. Obviously, it had that huge IPO initial move. That was awesome, but it's really just kind of come back down to earth here. Let me actually look on a 15-minute chart instead of the 5. Here is the range that we really kind of need to break out of here. Top side of this range, going to have this at about 11:30, 11:35. Bottom side of this range, 10:30. So this $1 range here, the move out of this is going to determine what's next here for Bull. It's trading sideways here. If this gets any type of movement like hood, we should see this much higher. I don't know what the piece of news is for that. I don't see any recent news here. Quick look here at the short interest, 1.72% of the float shorted. Not really a whole lot. Doesn't really seem like a lot's going on here. Super thick float. You got anything on Bull? I know you actually use this. Not that matters.
The daily chart looks like this is starting to try and find a bottom. But I think what we need to watch for is what happens with the price trying to get over the 20-day SMA. It seems like that's been kind of suppressing it for now. We did get a rejection on that SMA back last month, toward the end of last month, and just haven't been able to come back up and test it again. So I would be looking for, recapture and a close above the 20-day SMA. If we start getting that, we might be able to see this turn around. That's what I'd be watching for, because it does look like it's trying to put in a bottom.
Okay, there you go on Bull. Dwayne, let me know if that was helpful. That is your Bull chart. I had to be very careful and think about what I said there before I completely blew it. Just FYI. Okay, next here, AMD was on the list. EKS, I know that you were talking about AMD. AMD actually has a pretty interesting chart here. 13, I'd love to get your opinion here on the chart. We had this nice clean break above the 200-day. We've actually have a number of closes above it. To my eye here, 13, it looks like this is setting up for a test of 134.5 and a potential move higher if it continues any of this strength. Remember, I started today's session by giving you a quote from Dan Ives, who believes that the everything that's going on with the Iran conflict, the worst is behind us, and that tech actually might be a good bet on that. I guess you'd have to agree with him to go along with that. But nonetheless, sticking just to AMD here, had a pretty constructive move off of the bottom. Sure looks like a bottom was put in. The recapture of the 200, which it took 2 attempts to get through, notable. And it does look like it's setting up to move higher. What say you, 13?
Well, I'd actually like to see this, cool off for a bit. I do own this, so I know it sounds like I'm going against my own stock here, but I want this to go higher, and in order to do that, this can't just be going up all the time. It's going to be overextended. I had a couple of levels, or I have a couple of levels here, 128 and 133. Those were 2 levels that I've been keeping an eye on. Making a move over 128 last week was, I think it was pretty significant, but we did run into 133 as resistance. We also have the 500-day SMA just above that. That's going to, in my mind, provide some more resistance. But I would like to see this cool off, maybe come back, and I'd like to see it test 120, to be honest. I do have a support area down at 115. If it goes down there, no big deal. I think longer term, this is going to be great. We have a golden cross that's potentially setting up to occur later on this maybe this not this current quarter, but because we're about to end it, but next quarter it looks like that could be when it happens. So we'll end up seeing if that's what we get. But AMD, for me, I would just like this to cool off some more, maybe come down a little bit. If it loses its 200-day SMA and then recaptures it, fine. I just want this to, kind of chill out for a little bit so it can set up and go higher and break over that 500-day SMA. So for me, in the short term, I'd like to see it come down. Longer term, I think it's going higher. Okay.
Really good stuff there, AMD. And I think I would completely agree with the long-term premise there. I do think that this will end up going higher, but I don't know if that's going to be the next move. Okay, really good stuff there, 13. Next here, Geos. Now this is GEOS. I don't know if this was a move or a penny stock. I don't know what this is actually. This is Geos. Oh, okay. Here we go. Geospace Technologies. Stock's up 10.7%. I'm not familiar with this one, so I'm going to learn with you. I will say that the 3 recent candles that we have here sure seem like we are just packed with momentum. I understand that we're overbought with this recent move, but this took us off of a bottom through the 200-day where we kind of tested that area. We screamed past it as well as past the 500-day. And now it looks like we're back at a consolidation area from October of 2024 with the highs above this at about 1372. Geospace Technologies, engaged in design and manufacturing of seismic instruments and non-seismic equipment used in the oil and gas industry. Okay, well, that explains all of it. I guess I should have started with the overview. That would have helped. Nonetheless, your stock's up 10.7%. Quick look around the horn here. 3.82% of the float shorted with 9 days to cover. That days to cover comes on a paltry 70,000 shares of volume. Stock has only traded 38,000 shares today. To me, right here, this is a pass on this one just because of the low volume. What say you, 13?
Oh, yeah. Let me see here. I just think that this is just another one of these runners, kind of like HUSA or
Sure.
INDO. It has to do with the exploration, energy exploration. So we're going to see a number of these move. As far as this one goes, don't know enough about it, but I do see a trend line on the daily chart that we can draw a trend from, and we have broken over it. Is this today? No, we closed over it on Friday. And we are trading above it now. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did go higher and then did come back in and back test this trend line. There you go. So I think that's the thing I'd be keeping an eye on here as far as how the trends go, because we are breaking a trend. But I do think we are also coming up to some resistance. It looks like 1185 to 12. That's a resistance area back from last year. Q1, Q2 last year. We end up, getting through all that. Maybe somewhere between 13 and 14, there's going to be some resistance. Can't exactly peg where, but I would think between 13 and 1375, it seems that there's going to be some pretty good resistance to deal with. So that's all I've got for Geos. Just that trend line. It's going to back test. I think it's going to provide support. So we'll see.
Okay. Okay, good stuff there on Geos. Day trader here. First of all, just looking at the daily candle here, you can see that the last couple of days had elevated volume, but it's really not up that much. Day trader here, the 30-day average volume on Geos is 73,000. Friday's volume was 535,000. So this is a very thinly traded stock. Just be careful with this one. If you're trading it, make sure that you're going to be able to get in and out of that. Okay. Next here on the list is Hood.
We can't talk about Hood without talking about Bull, and it's also and vice versa. So
nope, and they couldn't have different looking charts, could they? 13. I mean, Hood has absolutely been killing it. This thing pushing to new highs here. It is down 1.34% here. So if we take a look inside, you'll see that the Friday intraday high here was about 79 and change. We'll see if we can break above that. Well, this is going to have to really kind of turn around here. It's a little bit weaker here in the pre-market, but the market, actually S&P futures here up by 0.14%. So the market holding in here. Would imagine Hood would trade with it. Otherwise, we're just kind of, for me here with Hood, this, as far as like next trade goes, this is just something that I have to wait for a pullback. Just the way that I would trade stuff like this, I would definitely want to be waiting. I wouldn't necessarily try to chase the price action up here. You got anything here on Hood?
I agree with you. I think this is going to come back in after all the nice moves it's had ever since April 7th. If we are going to get that movement back down, we do have three areas that I could see catching support. The earliest is going to be the 20-day SMA. That's at 71.85. Not sure we'll see support as greatly as we will with the $67 handle. I think that level might provide the best support. That was almost the high from February. When we initially had this run up, and then we had the Liberation Day that brought it down. Yep. We've returned since then. That was the breakout spot, was $67. We broke out of that on June 2nd, and we've been trading up above it ever since. So I think that breakout spot of $67, that's going to be the support I'd be looking at. If we don't get it there, then I would say the 50-day SMA, which is down at 59.50. But I think 67 is going to be the spot to watch for.
Okay, good stuff. Date. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to move on to real quick to CDTX. We didn't get quite get down to $40, but we came down to $40 and what is this? I'm sorry, $40.34 was the low. So just 34 cents shy of that breakout spot. We're reversing and trying to recapture 42 right now.
Okay, good stuff there. CDTX really quickly here. Day trader, appreciate this. This is not how I would trade it, but that's okay. There's multiple ways to trade. Day trader is saying the next overhead level for Hood here is 81.08. It's based on a fib extension. By the way, I love how this is done. If you give me levels and then you tell me how you got that level, that's just even better for the rest of us. It actually helps us learn as well. Pullback levels here, 71.11 and 63.29. Those sound awfully close to the levels that 13 was just looking at.
From here, I would just say the next resistance area is going to be 85. That's the the high from August of 2021 after it IPO'd. So we're getting close to the IPO high, and after that, then we're in blue sky territory.
Oh, there we go. Blue skies, smiling at 13. All right, next here is going to be Palantir. This is ticker PLTR. See how easy that is for me to say? Ticker PLTR here. This is continuing to move. This is up another just shy of 1% here today. If we take a look here, this is actually down from its recent highs, but not really. It's just kind of like a normal trading pullback. Volume doesn't seem to be very crazy here. I don't think we got any news. And as far as I can tell, nothing that I saw from over the weekend really kind of screamed Palantir in terms of, what happened and then how the stock might react to that. I would have thought, given all of the events, that you'd have more of a reaction in ticker NOC, as I discussed earlier, given that the B2s were built by Northrop. They're both up, knocks up a little bit more. Palantir up a little bit. This to me is the same momentum trade that we've had. Personally, I really want this to come back in so I can buy it at a cheaper price. We'll see if we end up getting it. Downside level here, 20-day moving average, definitely one to pay attention to, 131.83.
I like 132 as the next area of support. I'm not saying that that's going to hold, but
sure,
there could be some intermediate support there. Maybe you get it for a day or intraday. Then that's close to the 20-day SMA. So 132 would be the next level I'd be watching for a potential in and out bounce trade. But I do think this could end up going lower. Got a little trend line here I drew from the May 7th bottom through the June 5th low, just to see if that trend ends up breaking. But to your point about there not being a whole lot that would drive this, I think a lot of focus has shifted over to cybersecurity ever since we got some fears and speculation, and I think even Christy Dwarf, Noam, might have even said something about how there could be increased cyber attacks in the U.S. So I think that's shifting a lot of attention towards the cyber stocks. How are those doing today, by the way?
Yeah, so that's actually a really good point there, 13. One of the other things is that Iran is actually good at cyber warfare, from what I understand. So that would be something to take a look at. That would actually be one of the last things left for them. So that's a pretty good point. I don't know which one I'd necessarily buy on this conflict. I would probably want to watch price action. Quick look around here. PanW, this is up by 0.25% here this morning. CrowdStrike's actually down by about 0.25% here. RBRK, this is a kind of a less robust one here. This is also down a little bit. So cybersecurity around flat, not crazy. Okay.
Look at CrowdStrike. Actually, I don't know if you have the trend line out there or not, but that thing has been behaving pretty well with it. Yeah, look at this. We're getting it's doing its job. It's rejecting all the price action we've had this month. Now it's starting. It looks like it's going to open beneath the 20-day SMA.
Big B saying, have you seen the internet has been crippled in Iran? The last 10 days, they've only had 1 day of good internet. I could have sworn didn't the regime shut it down or something like that, or clamp it down?
Yeah, I believe that's what's been happening, because there's been talks of, or there's been fears within the regime of a potential uprising. So shutting down the internet's a good way to mitigate that coordination.
Yeah, I would just say on that. Seems like there's a possibility of that happening here. The one thing about a regime change, though, for that to actually mean anything and to be completed, it's got to happen from the Iranian people inside. Yeah. It's not something that we're going to be able to do. So we'll see. We'll see how that all shakes out. Okay, I think it was it Sassy? Someone was asking about this ticker LYB, Lyondell Basel Industries. I don't even know if I've pulled this up here. This is a petrochemical producer with operations in the United States, Europe, and Asia. The company is the world's largest producer of polypropylene and also a major producer of polyethylene and propylene oxide. The chemicals are used in various consumer and industrial end products. Well over half of LyondellBasell's production comes from its North American operations. Okay, I've never really looked at this stock before. It trades about 4.5 million shares a day. It's got a huge float. Let's take a look and see if there's any short interest here. 3.67%, 2.91 days to cover. I don't necessarily have a line on this one. The chart actually looks kind of poor, but if we've put in a bottom here and we're kind of chopping around, you could make a case that the next move from here might be up. And if you do that, you're going to have some pretty clear targets. The first one being 61.5. And then maybe after that, 69.5. So I don't know. We also got the 65.50 there as your 100-day moving average. 13. I'm sorry, not familiar with this ticker a lot or very much at all. You got anything here? Ticker LYB.
I like that it since it's come down off this high from earlier this month that it put in that saw it cross over 60. It's getting support from the 20 and 50-day SMA. It continues to do that. I'd be looking for another recapture of 60. I think that's an important level. You can draw a horizontal line there and you look to the left. Ever since it came down in April, likely off the Liberation Day news, it has been having a hell of a time trying to recapture 60. Did get above there briefly this month, but we just recently lost it last week. So $60, that's kind of what I'd be watching for, is a recapture of that level following this support we've been getting from the 20 and 50-day SMA. And as far as what this company does, with their different types of, I guess it's a type of plastic. These are supposed to be one of the more safer types of plastics and don't have cancer-causing effects. That polypropylene. So I know you use it in all different kinds of things like automotive, textiles, medical devices. It's in a lot of stuff. So don't think that they're ever going to run out of uses for this. But I would be just looking at the technicals because I don't know anything about this company fundamentally.
Okay. All right. Really good stuff there. We are under 2 minutes until we open, and we got every stock off of the list. We're doing pretty good here. We're ready to roll. Ray here saying Iran, the Shah is making a hard push for a coup right now. He's saying he's getting more defectors within the Islamic Republic's military and bureaucracy. I did see those tweets. This is not something that I'm terribly familiar with, so I'm just kind of passively watching. We'll see. We will see. There are a couple of people that I know that are actually Iranian. Like I said, one of my best friends that lives in Arkansas, one of his best friends is Iranian, and one of the nicest guys in the world, maybe because he's from the South. I don't know. But he was saying the same thing. He was saying majority of the people there want this. So it's a possibility. I don't have any insight on whether or not it's going to happen. All right. Let's see. We covered everything, right? Izzy, welcome back. I got home at 4 a.m. Oops. I got home at 4 a.m. and you're up here at 9:30 a.m. Sun won the tournament, scored 60 runs, only gave up 8, 5-0 in the tournament. We got a stud brewing, Izzy. Let me just say this. He makes it to the big show. Let me get a rookie card autographed. I mean, that's might start card collecting here. Got a couple of football cards I'm collecting. But if your son makes the big leagues, let's get a signed rookie card. We are open. Let's go after it, folks. The start of another great week here with the Benzinga team. I love it.
CDTX, we got our 40 print. That one came down after trying to recapture 42. Let's see what we end up getting here with this movement. If this is going to break down or if this is going to end up getting picked up and taken back over 42. IDO, that is kind of going down out of the gate here. Still a bit sideways, looking for support from potentially VUF if it goes lower. HUSA, this is ripping over 22. 2240 is the pre-market high. We're headed for that direction. That's all I see moving at the moment. Looks like Tesla is ripping out of the gate here. TSLL has had a nice jump.
It is.
From 1280 to 1305. Let me look at TSLA. So Tesla.
Sorry, 13 for interrupting. This is that 330 level. When we took a look at the Tesla chart earlier this morning, I said 330 is going to be in play here today. There we go. Just danced around it briefly, but bang, right through it now. And also, no, let me fix this up here. I didn't notice any Tesla unusual options, but I also didn't have it filtered correctly here. So just give me a sec.
20-day SMA recapture for Tesla. That's been keeping it suppressed for almost 2 weeks now. So it looks like the high that we had while we were underneath the 20-day SMA was about 335.50. So I would think that we're going to probably break out right about here. This is a breakout spot. It looks like to me. This
looking really strong. 13.
Yep.
Continues to push here. By the way, also noticed AMD, which we also took a look at, that moving here out of the gate. Boy, the Tesla unusual options pretty much all to the call side here. AMD breaking through 131, about to test 132 here on AMD. HIMS, that's one of the big movers here today. How's that doing? Oh my God, HIMS, another leg down here. Folks, as far as trading goes here, I think it probably behooves you to wait the bottom out. Don't try and pick it. Wait for it to confirm a bottom, or otherwise you might get hurt on something like this. XOM is taking off, Lion. That was a good mention from you earlier on the oil names with respect to the conflict going on right now. Okay, so this actually just stopped at 117. I'm going to watch some of this price action here. I'm curious. What did USO? What's USO doing? Did we go red on that? Briefly in the pre-market, but we're still holding green here by about 0.25%.
We are approaching last Tuesday's high. And HUSA, I'm sorry. Looks like we are trying to make a run for, I would say 26. Looks like that's going to be the next big resistance area.
All of quantum is down. Okay.
HUSA is just on absolutely ripping right now.
Here you go. look, this is breaking above that Tuesday level, that Tuesday intraday high here. HUSA, HUSA, ripping to the highs.
26, the next resistance area.
Okay. 13, I'm going to step away for just 1 sec, BRB.
Sounds good. Looking around here, it looks like IBO still kind of moving sideways. Hasn't broken down, but hasn't broken out either. Looks like there's a lot of support at $1, but I think that could easily get chewed through. So question marks for me on IBO. Looks like CDTX trying to hold 40. If it does, maybe successfully do that, perhaps we would see some more upside. So we'll see if we end up getting that. HUSA coming off of that high print of 25.48. So that big move here coming back in. We'll see where it gets some support. I think if it's going to get any support, it might be at 22.50. So we'll see what happens down there. And what else is having a good morning here besides all y'all? IBO is, nope, I thought that was halted for a second. It's not. Looks like it's about to get chewed through that $1 level, and there it goes, falling down. VWAP is down at 89 cents, almost 90 cents. So that's where I would think this falls to initially. All quantum is down. They had a nice week last week too.
We back.
Day trader saying RBNE, and the crow is watching OP.
Now, RBNE was on the list this morning. That's Robin Energy. This is just kind of moving with that energy. This does actually look like maybe it's trying to break higher here, RBNE.
OP does have some sellers, a couple of walls of sellers here at 248, 250, with another one trying to walk it down. Seems like these shares are getting chewed up here. We might see a blast off above VWAP in OP coming here, so keep an eye on that.
Okay.
HUSA
at 260 there.
HUSA still holding above 24 for now. IBO recaptured $1, and CDT still holding above 40. We'll see what ends up happening there with that one.
Okay, it's some of these tech names pulling back. Remember, we talked about Dan Ives earlier saying that tech might be a good buy from here. Also, Bitcoin, when all of this happened, Bitcoin, I believe, dipped beneath 100K, then recaptured it. Bitcoin here on the future sitting at 101,400, and it's actually up off the lows. Some of the other tech names, though, getting hit this morning. Apple and Netflix both down to support. Palo Alto pulled right out of the gate. Amazon's down. Is Amazon a buy here, 208, for a potential move? AMZN? Don't we have Prime Day coming up here? I don't like the whole Prime Day trade, and I still kind of want to wait out the seasonality thing, but we'll see. OP. Yep, it's trading. It looks like it's trying to go higher here, 250, and we've got 260 at that VWAP spot.
Yeah, 258 looks like
here.
That's the resistance area. 258 is going to be resistance area. It looks like. That was support in the pre-market, and it lost it at about 7 o'clock. Hasn't been able to recapture it since.
Okay, they're refilling 250, but they've taken it each time here. Looking for a push to this 260. See if we end up getting that. Here we go. Let's see if we can get up to 260. A break above this will be key. We'll see if we get it. Yeah?
I was just going to say, it's almost at that resistance area. It's like knocking on its door right now.
They refilled 250 with a lot of sellers right there. Anas asking, did y'all release a meme coin? Bro, we do not have our own coins here. We talk about meme coins, but we did not release one. There we go, through 250 again. 258 is the high print that I have. There's a battle going on right here in OP, folks.
That's the resistance, 258 from the pre-market. So we chew through that. This thing could run to, what was this, 360?
The thing just went right to that 258 again and stop there, 13. I think you've got that pegged like crazy.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of shares sold to get through that.
It's going to test it again. There it was. They're hitting that wall. There's actually prints at that 258 there.
Yep.
And through.
They're trying to take it. Here we go.
Partial right here. Bang. Let's see. What was the next resistance area that you had here? 305.3?
I'd say 272.
272. Okay. Stop there now at 2 cents above break even. Here we go. 272 on deck here. Oh, 13. This is why I was waiting for you all weekend, 13. Come on, why are you doubting me?
Knock it off.
We'll see here. A lot of volume being traded here. Volume stick actually looks pretty good here.
Maybe raise some stops.
Yep, that's already done. Okay. At this point now, if we pop above 270 to that 280 area, probably just clean this off. Yeah. Gil Whopper scalp 20% off Indo. We got the scalps rolling here today. Lion says he can see 120 on XOM by tomorrow.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, it's coming off of 271. 272 is my resistance area for OP. No, it's really coming back in.
Coming back in. It's probably going to stop me on the rest of it here.
Might trigger some stops. I was just going to say, yeah. But that's okay.
Because stopped out. That's okay, though. That was still 1 for 1 on the day. Not huge, but it's something to get rolling here. Okay, we'll see if OP sets up again. I'll tell you what. This looks like a move to and a peak above VWAP. So I don't want to rule out the potential of this really coming all the way back in. But if we consolidate here, that sets up for another move higher through this, maybe even later today.
Good morning so far. CDT did get support from 40, popped up to 42, got rejected again. I think until we one of those two levels, whether it be 40 or 42, until we get a breakdown or breakout there, this is probably what's going to end up happening. It's just kind of like a bounce around between those two levels with some prints maybe above and beneath them briefly. So keep an eye on CDTX. Don't know if it's done yet, but I think if we do start trading underneath VWAP and the $40 level, probably done for the time being.
Really quickly here, Tem, we talked about this having a conference here. What?
Sorry,
IBO? Okay.
IBO. Sorry to interrupt you. We're about to break the pre-market high of 123. Looking for 140 if we do.
And by the way, OP's back on here, back up to that 270 area. If you stayed in on this, just make sure you have a plan to book those gains. Don't let the trade go red on you. We spent a lot of time moving up from the support level through the VWAP there, so you have an opportunity to sell it. Right, Nikolai is asking if we think it's a good idea to add on the dips in HIMS.
Oh.
So this is an interesting one. I don't think that it's worth trying.
I was halted.
Good call there on iBio, by the way. Nikolai, I don't believe it's worth trying until we confirm that the sell-off is done. I have no reason to try and catch this right here, especially if we're looking at some more downside seasonality. However, a dip buy down around this $40 level, this was clearly an area of resistance before. It might turn into some support here. I would give this a little bit. I wouldn't necessarily try to go too early on this one. I'd wait, literally wait for it to confirm the support level as opposed to trying to guess it. Bitcoin continuing its move higher, by the way.
Yeah, when it comes to HIMS, to me, if I was gonna, look for a spot to start buying this, and I'm not, just to be clear, but if I was, 34 looks like that would be an interesting spot to maybe consider taking at least a marker position. That's down near the 200-day SMA. I see some pretty good former resistance at that area. Back in the last year, December. That was also a breakout spot, 34 from January. I think I like 34 if I was going to take a trade in HIMS.
Okay, so some more substantial downside before that becomes a long setup for you. Real quick, Matthew here asking, how should traders handle reverse splits like Cooler's 1 for 8 today? I've yet to come out on the winning end of one. So the one thing I will say about reverse splits is, generally speaking, if a company is reverse splitting and not forward splitting, they're doing poorly. If they're forward splitting and not reverse splitting, they're doing well. I don't like holding through reverse splits if I don't have to. As far as trading it goes, a lot of these stocks, especially some of these low-priced penny stocks, actually trade better after the reverse, but that can sometimes only be temporary. There's no necessarily cut and dry way to necessarily do this. What we do when we talk about reverse splits as being a catalyst here, we're talking about very, very short-term trades just based on the news flow, not necessarily something to hold. I know, 13, you have a more of a long-term outlook on Cooler, though.
Well, they're used in a lot of it's essentially thermal management for battery systems, and we are going to be using batteries for a very long time. And they still seem to have problems with exploding and burning and all that unfortunate stuff. So, still think that we're going to need thermal management. They already have products.
Yeah.
They already have their components in space. Lockheed Martin's a major partner. So are a lot of other space companies. They're trying to get into vehicle space as well. I think doing thermal management for their EVs. They have products, they have revenue, but that share structure was just god awful huge. And I was saying for a while they needed to do this. Michael Moe, the CEO, said that they weren't going to do this. I think as little as less than a year ago, and here we are doing a 1 for 8 now. So, or an 8 for 1. I mean. I think this is going to be good. It'll help the stock trade better, but fundamentally, it's probably a different story.
Lab, by the way, this is standard Bio 2s. This is up at the pre-market high of 138 and trying to bust above this. Standard Bio Tools are trading higher after the company announced a strategic sale of SomaLogic to Illumina. That's what's causing this move here. Ticker LAB Lab.
Tesla boom.
Tesla's doing, dude. Tesla has a lot of option action here today. A lot of it on the call side. There is both, but it's predominantly on the call side here. Tesla's still above that 330 area that we flagged very early on this morning. We'll see if it can actually break to new highs here. Tesla's strong. Volume looks good here as well. Apple, by the way, I talked about tech making a little bit of a move lower there. Here's Apple on the back of the rumor that they might incorporate Perplexity or try to buy out Perplexity to enhance its AI offering. Apple's initial dip here right back to the highs. Izzy, I think you had mentioned Amazon as a potential scalp here. Looks like this did try to bounce off 208. Not a whole lot. Someone else mentioned Uber, I think, earlier. How's Uber doing?
So Tesla's really kind of moving on the Robotaxi launch, isn't it? Isn't that kind of what is?
Yeah, I would say so. Here, just to give you a recap of that, Elon Musk said, quote, "a culmination of a decade of hard work," end quote. They had influencers apparently writing and tweeting about all of this. By the way, OP backed off that VWAP there. That's a no touch until it can get above it. And Uber, yes, this is actually a decent move out. Who was that earlier on Uber? Nice. It wasn't Izzy. That's what. Well, I can't remember who it was because I thought it was Izzy. But
IBO is unhalted. It had a small pop up to 124, which is just a penny above its pre-market high. Backed off a little bit, but hasn't sold off. Trying to push higher. Here we go. Coming up to 130, 140. Sorry, $1.40. That's the next resistance level I have. Currently at a high of 129, looking for 130.
You're welcome, Matthew. Anytime we can provide any information or assistance, we will.
Yep, absolutely, Matthew. And here goes iBio, almost to that 140 spot.
That was a good move. I'm not in this one. I didn't have this one queued up.
Yeah, got a high of 137, so just a few cents away from that spot. Not sure if we're going to push up higher or not. It seems like it could.
Jay is saying 5 years ago, all the bears laughed at robotaxis. Jay, I include me in that group. I've been laughing at robotaxis ever since I've heard of it, just because it doesn't interest me, but clearly affects the stock. Clearly. Oscar, by the way, this was one of those Tim Melvin recommendations, I believe, in a 14 handle. This is actually bouncing a little bit off of its down move here in the pre-market. Remember, we touched above 22 last week on Friday. This has actually been a pretty good performer, Oscar. How's UNH doing? That's another one that we've been looking at here. UNH gave up 300. Here's what your daily chart looks like.
We got a mention of IBO, Lemonade by Ray. This one ended up breaking over the $44 level we marked off.
Oh, yeah, it did. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at how clean this is, 13. And if you look inside, we actually back tested. This is exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Did pretty good there. Did pretty good. So looking like iBio still trying to hit that 140. Got 139 as the high now. So it's almost there. Looks like all those other mover names besides iBio. Here we go. 141 breaking out. 142. Perfect. Great stuff there on that one. Hopefully some of y'all caught that. CDTX, that one having a hard time holding above 40. Now underneath it, 39.34 is the price right now. Trying to get some support from the $39 handle. It looks like HUSA also lost its VWAP.
Actually, on CDTX, I have all of this volume turning to red. I actually have us below the VWAP. I'd look out below on that if that continues to accelerate here. Nice job, Izzy, on the Amazon scalp. That's continuing to move back towards balance, by the way, since Amazon opened up lower here. S&P futures, by the way, doing the exact same thing. S&P futures here plus 0.3, so 0.3. SPY's up 0.32. NASDAQ at the highs, Dow at the highs, SPY at the highs, all from the overnight lows.
All right, so iBio backing off that 143 high that it printed. That was also where the 200 EMA on the daily chart is. So pretty strong resistance area there. But if this ends up coming back
IBO,
up,
right?
IBO, yep.
Okay.
If this ends up coming back up and moving through that, I can keep you abreast of some more resistance levels. After that 200 EMA, it's going to be 150 for me.
Okay.
And then we can look at some other ones. Like it'll probably be like 175. $2, like 25-cent increments from there.
Circle here, Kathy mentioning Circle. This is so crazy here. By the way, the catalyst here, Circle Internet Group shares trading higher after the company announced a partnership with Fiserv to use its stablecoin platform with Fiserv's digital banking and payment capabilities. Circle continuing to beast post IPO here, 260 coming here on Circle. This is a 20-point move off the opening low.
Okay. You want to talk about something that's going to come crashing down? I feel like that would be Circle. Don't know when, but I don't know that this is going to this move that it's had ever since its IPO is going to hold up.
I mean, it is a crazy move since IPO, without a doubt.
What's CoreWeave at now? CoreWeave coming back into that. So that 166.63 cent top that I would thought could have been the top, that's going to be support every time it comes back down here. So that's what I would watch for with CoreWeave.
Okay. Good stuff, 13. USEG.
Webcoin
We're not missing any big news. I feel like we've covered it all here.
I don't think we are.
No,
looks like we're trying to get HUSA to recapture the VWAP. IBO. I should say just IBO, like Webcoin is mentioning, because we keep mentioning IBO or iBio or something like that and causing confusion. So IBO, I like it. IBO coming up to 140 again, looking to recapture that level. What a nice morning it's been. Bitcoin looks like this is trying to push higher. It's got a bit of a bull pennant forming here on the 5-minute chart. So we'll see after this reversal it had out of the open if it can push higher. Looks like, let me see here. Looks like it's going to run into some pretty significant resistance, a little bit higher up into the 102 handle. I'd say somewhere around 102.7 to 102.9 is going to have some resistance if it pushes back up there.
Okay, it looks like I just froze my platform here on this chart. Sorry about that. Get that fixed here in a sec. There we go.
Jonathan Cooper, when that happens, do you think that's going to be a sell the news event? I have to think that with Circle's movement that it's been getting, there's going to be some kind of event where everybody's going to be super bullish on it. And that's when everybody that's in Circle is going to sell. You tell me.
Circle will buy U.S. bonds to back its coin, hence the Genius Act.
Mm-hmm. And that could be a sell the news event.
That was a Tim Melvin pick. You know what? No, Izzy. Good mention here. Oh my God, this was a buyout. I completely forgot. We're going to have to thank Tim for that. SPTN stock is given its price. Spartan Nash shares were trading lower after the company announced it will be acquired by CNS Wholesale Grocers. So it moved lower initially, and then it just held right here at 26.32. Nice little 50% premium there, SPTN. We're gonna have to thank Tim Melvin. Let me actually take a note here because
Eric's trading INDP at 55 cents. Don't think we've looked at that one today. All this movement, well, except for maybe Tesla. I was going to say a lot of this movement in the energy names is getting pulled off here, but Tesla still moving up.
Tesla's ripping. We're still seeing option activity follow it.
340. Gonna wait and see what we end up getting there. There's I mean, if this continues to rise up today, 350 is going to be a breakout spot. If we get that high today, there could be a big volumetric move over 350.
S&P futures continuing to tick higher here. Now up 0.4 just about. EYEN. This is one that you guys were on last week. This ripping here now on some pretty good volume. This is right back to about where we closed on Tuesday, EYEN.
Tom, are you referring to? I think that's referring to the number of other, like if you mouse over the ticker, it will show you the other companies or tickers associated with that news article, or that were mentioned in that news article.
13 is exactly right. I believe what Tom is asking about here is in the Benzinga newsfeed, when you have a ticker as well as a plus number to the side of it, if you actually mouse over that, it will list all of the other stocks that might be affected by this piece of news. So that's what that's all about. Well, I didn't even do anything. I locked up here? Let me actually just try a quick refresh here real quick. Boop. All right. Let's see if anything else is going on here. Trump tweeted, "Drill, baby, drill."
Exploration.
Oil continues to move lower. Oil now down 0.5%. That was so the crude futures here, I'm looking at 73.50. That was at like 79 over the post the attacks there. Okay, let me go back to
waiting to see if we end up getting a move in iBio that's going to take us over the 140 level and close above there. But volume is not looking great enough to do that right now. INDO just had a big old knife down to the 65 EMA. Big old knife. All right, so Bitcoin looks like it's about to make that move to resolve the bullpen that we had here. That would mean that this thing's going to print 102.5.
So just fixing up my chart here real quick.
Drill, baby, drill, and I mean now, as if that's going to lower energy prices. I don't know. I mean, I'd have to look and see what our refining capacity is at right now, because it doesn't matter how much we drill. If we can't refine it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Wow. Tesla it was over 341 now. It just was there a moment ago. That's crazy.
Oh my God. This thing has been, what a move out of the gate here on Tesla.
$103.5 is the gap on BTC that it's aiming for. 103.5. Let's see here.
And real quick, while he's looking that up, SMCI here, this taking another leg lower. We talked about Supermicro shares are trading lower after the company announced proposed $2 billion convertible senior note offering. This thing has actually moved lower from the open there. Sorry, 13, get back in there if you need to.
No worries. I don't see a gap at 103.5, but that is a really standout resistance, support and resistance area. 103.5, when the price was above it, and it came down towards that, you have nothing but really just mostly wicks, indicating that there was a price action down there, but buyers stepped in. Then we lost that on what was the 21st? That was Saturday. So we lost that level on Saturday, and it's now coming back back up to try and test it again. I don't see the gap that you're referring to, but I do see how that has been support and resistance big time.
Core Medics, this is up on earnings, CRMD.
Mark Miller mentioning CRSP. Looks like CDTX might be trying to turn around. We just had a bit of a reversal candle print on the 5-minute charts. We'll see if
Iron, sorry to interrupt. EYEN continuing to go higher here through the 6 handle. This actually looks like it might try 657. Here's your CDTX chart 13. Sorry about that.
No worries. It just looks like that's reversing. I cannot, articulate my surprise happening with Tesla right now. We are knocking on the door of 343. It looks like 350s in potentially in the cards here.
This is Solar Edge. This is just up 1.5%. I don't know if we can really draw anything on that. Nvidia about to go red green, maybe. This is pretty much right at flat.
JG, I'm only looking at a daily chart. I'm not looking at any other special chart, just a daily chart. OP knocking on the door of VWAP again. Needs more volume.
Yeah, don't feel great about this with the volume coming in a little bit.
No.
TMDs is another one that's moved to the lows. INDO, this reversed its turn, gave back that pop.
So there's that resolution of that flag I was mentioning in Bitcoin. 102,686 was the high it just printed there.
HIMS might be holding 46 here. It's trying to retake 47. I still think you can be patient on this. Yeah.
IBO is trying for that 140 level again. Volume needs to be a little bit better, but it's still making its way up. We might get some expansion here. Tesla, okay, I saw that.
Tesla's still at the highs, dude. I mean, this thing, this would have been the trade of the day here so far.
Yeah.
By the way, the market following here, SPY, Qs, and Dow all at the highs. Jay, I think you're right. This is a rough morning for the bears, especially the ones from last week.
Like war breaking out. Oh, we're definitely going to print today. No.
Nope.
Nope. It's interesting too because the Mag 7 is a bit mixed this morning. Tesla, interestingly, Apple and Meta are slightly up. It looks like they're all kind of teetering, except for Tesla. They're all kind of teetering on being red-green. So doesn't look like there's anything that's really driving anything else except just Tesla having that Robotaxi. Now over 344. Man. Izzy, you hit Ion?
That was that move up to 6 there on Ion. Anyone got any thoughts on the Nike earnings here in 3 days? Nike holding it right about $60.
Just waiting for that move in OP.
KTOS, great mention, Big B's. This, I think, one of the better defense names here. This up 4.2%. How did the rest of those defense names do? Oops. Wrong one. Lockheed about flat.
KTOS got a price target raised to 48. That wouldn't surprise me if we ended up getting that this week.
Nike, they make shoes or something, right? Fairchild, what a fall it was it feels like a huge fall for Nike. Like I remember recently, like the Tiger Woods shot on 16 where the ball just hangs on the edge of the cup perfectly so you can see the Nike logo before dropping into it. And it seems like Nike was at the clothing, golf balls, shoes, all of it. Now it doesn't seem like that's anyone's top choice for any of those things. Just anecdotal.
OP. I don't know if you've drawn a trend line on this, but I just did one from the pre-market high to the high of the session, and it looks like we're about to approach that and take it out.
Here we go.
It just got over VWAP, so that's a good sign. Just needed more volume to take us higher over that high that we made in the regular session of 271.
Look at that. Look at that hold by that 15 EMA on OP.
Oh, somebody hit it. An IBO. There we go. Bam. IBO or IBO. Through that resistance that I was talking about at 140 again. Went higher, got 146 now, probably going to back off. But if this continues to expand the volume, maybe we'll see 150 and higher. I have 230 as the next resistance area. I see it, IBO.
Okay.
But, oh, here we go. Getting pulled back underneath 140 again. Good to see some of these moves happen, but would like to see some follow through in these.
Market continuing to push to highs here, by the way. S&P futures ticking up to the highs again, up now 0.5% on the day. And that is up considerably off the lows.
I haven't taken a look at SPY today. How's that moving?
Big B's, I know you were talking about Constellation earlier. This nice little 8-point move here today so far. We might be coming back up 320 and then maybe 343. 343. Rocket Lab having a nice move here today.
Oh yeah, how are the space stocks doing?
Well, Rocket Lab is up. Remember, ASTS got the downgrade to the market perform. That's actually erased all of its losses on ASTS. That is actually a really great move. I'll tell you what, we almost hit that $50 target on Friday. This screaming to the highs here now.
Looks like XIII Space is having a good morning.
That's SIDU, right?
SIDU, yeah. Oh, okay, cool. So they advanced their 120 million agreement with Lone Star. Lone Star is a company that that went to XIII Space and said we want to put a data center on the moon. So that's one of the things they're doing. It looks like the thing that they have this $120 million agreement for is a solar array for a satellite mission. So Lone Star are kind of funding the heck out of different missions for XIII Space. But this is, this is a tough one to trade in all the space names because it just doesn't seem to do very well. Not like Rocket Lab and Redwire and all the other ones that I like do. Nice to have this one on your radar, but I don't pick any of these shares up because don't have a whole lot of confidence in the stock right now.
Fairchild says the Schwartz is strong with them. Is it true that they're making a Spaceballs 2 and like half of the cast is making cameos? Is that for real?
Yes.
Okay. That might be well, I'll hold my opinion on that. We'll see how that is. The other thing I really quickly wanted to ask you, and not to start rumors or conspiracies or anything like that. Did you see the video from the home astronomer that was looking at the moon, and in his video it appears as if like at part of like the shadow covered area there's like something flying around and red explosions happening?
No.
I'll see if I can find that for you. I don't believe it on the surface. I think there's some shenanigans going on there, but when I first saw that I was like, oh my god, here we go.
I'd imagine that if that was actually happening, there'd be somebody else with a telescope that's better, that's able to actually see what's going on.
Yeah. I feel that. I was rather amused. I'm not taking it seriously. I was amused when I watched that video over the weekend. Circle, oh my God, more new highs now as Circle pops above the pre-market high 275 on Circle, CRCL. Kathy, are you in this? Because this is insane. This is now up 15%. I can't even spit the number out. It just keeps trading higher. Unreal on Circle. That's definitely a miss. I mean, we talk about Bitcoin all the time here. I don't feel good about missing Circle though.
Yeah. Mel Brooks' best golf cut ever. What am I missing there? I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing Mel Brooks reprise his role as yogurt. Which, by the way, do you think with the Mandalorian out that we are going to get like a baby yogurt, like a Go-Gurt or something?
I hadn't thought about it, 13.
That'd be great. That'd be a great joke. I'd love it. Go-Gurt, because in Mandalorian his name's Grogu, so it'd be perfect. Go-Gurt.
That's actually not bad. Cameron Velasquez, better late than never, buddy. You're late to the party. What happened to Hims? What happened to Hims is that earlier in the pre-market this morning, Novo Nordisk terminated its collaboration with Hims. They're not going to be able to get Wegovy like they previously had. Obviously, the weight loss drugs have really been the boon for Hims over the last, year or so, maybe even more than that. You can tell here, Hims down 27% on the back of that news. What we have said here regarding Hims is, for me, trying to catch the falling knife here, not the best move. Wait for it to confirm a bottom. We take a look at levels on this all the time, but that's what's going on here with Hims.
And let's see here.
Pete here saying, Circle CoreWeave, just buy IPOs, get 1,000% gain in a month, no logic required. I have to push back on that a little bit because I bought one of the IPOs, Voyager, and it did not go 1,000% gain. I see what you're saying, though, on some of those IPOs. It's just the post-IPO can be crazy. CoreWeave and Circle really showing that. AMRZ, that was AmRiz, right? Let's see. That's not. That's open?
CDTX recaptured 40.
Yo, AmRiz is open.
Oh, it is already?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No waiting there. So AMRZ?
AMRZ, I've got the 5-minute chart here. So I've got the open at 51.35, the low of 49, and it's currently at 51. AmRiz, I'm probably calling it the wrong name. Anyway, let me know if anyone's trading that. Kathy, did you trade this one?
52 looks like a spot already.
Interesting.
Yeah, 52. That's going to be one of the earliest levels I'm putting out there. That's twice we've already had different interactions with that. No closes above 52, but we have printed above. We have printed 52. Well, I'm sorry, we almost printed 52 twice. The high of 51.99 from about 15, 20 minutes ago. I think I'd be watching 52. 52 is looking like it's already establishing itself as a level.
Oost here, by the way, this is up 11.5%. This is Ooster. We've been talking about this one. This continues to go here. And I feel like we talked about this when it was 15, 16 bucks. Oost ripping here.
More like boost. Look at that thing go.
No kidding. No kidding. Kathy, long AmRiz at 50. You got about 76 cents of gains there. We're actually sitting on its VWAP. Sideshow, Yakshimash is saying IBO is pulling here. Indeed. And it's actually pulling to the 15 EMA. We'll see if it gets down to that 109 VWAP.
There's a seller that's walking it down right now.
Geos, this also now appearing on the relative volume scanner. This coming back in a little bit. That intraday high up there, 65-ish. S&P 500, Big B's mentioning right into the consolidation zone. Easy for me to say. We take a look at SPY here. Remember that 593 to 595 and 597 level. Well, look at that. 598, the line that we have drawn here, stopped dead on it.
Draw a trend line for a CDTX. I think we're about to rip.
Got it?
That looks like that's I think.
Yep, you might be right on this one.
I can't even get the words out. I'm like, that's
easy
it right
for
there.
You to say 13.
Watching for 42. If we get a breakout here over this trend line, 42 is what I'm be looking for.
That was a really good spot. It's battling right here at the trend line.
Mm-hmm. Market Pulse says, Izzy, we're getting a little bit of pullback in the S&P 500.
Yeah, it's a pull from the high, though. It looks like just a break on the up move.
All right, let's see here.
Anything else? Costco at the highs. That's always good to see. By the way, Kevin, shout out if you're out there. The tweet over the weekend from that Iranian saying that 90 million other Iranians, it would symbolize hope if a Costco or a Walmart or a Buc-ee's or a Dollar General showed up in Iran.
A Buc-ee's in Iran? I'm not opposed, but man, I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves.
I mean, it's obviously in jest. That's not a serious.
I know.
That's not a serious tweet. Lion,
no,
take care
I'm
of yourself,
I'm here for it, though.
Lion, let me know if you're having the extreme temps in Tennessee. Stay cool, brother.
Kathy is mentioning that HNGE is having an IPO and it's breaking out.
That's Hinge?
Yeah, I couldn't say that very easily, could I?
Here, yeah. So this is a move higher off that initial impulse there.
Yeah, what you know about V-shaped recoveries? That thing just, wow. That thing went from like almost 44 down to 34. Big old $10 whip and rip.
Yeah, this Moj, I totally get it. I'm not offering as if I had any ability to do that. And to be clear here, I'm just repeating something that I heard somebody else say, another Iranian say. I think it was more of a joke than anything. It's getting hot. Okay, so if it's getting hot, you must not have the extreme heat that we do, and you're going to a beach next week. Lion, it sounds like you got that figured out. CDTX stopping right there at that 41-ish level, holding here at about 40 and a half. CDTX.
Yeah, I'm enjoying my swamp. It's humid out here, but I love it.
Yeah, I've got one of my coworkers who's a good buddy of mine. He's from South Carolina. And he's like, the heat. He's like, I love it. I was like hitting golf balls in 100-degree heat and it was humid. And I was like, oh my God, it just sounds so terrible.
I didn't have to drink any water, it just absorbed.
The water you got to drink. It's like you can't eat food. When it's that hot, you're not even hungry.
I don't really get as thirsty as I used to when I was out in California, when I'm in the heat out here. It's just saturating.
I'll tell you what, man, it is like when it's super hot and I'm on the golf course and the sun is like 10 feet from your head and you're just the pure taste of ice water is like the most relieving thing ever.
What is this magical elixir?
It's the life force is what it is. Pan W here reclaiming 200. Yes. Guys, someone straighten me out here. I'm nervous. I love Pan W. I do think it's best in breed. I want to be long for a swing. Is anyone else confident that we break out of this triple top-ish area? Because I almost feel like we're still setting up for another pullback here. I really want to wait till we get out of this negative seasonality period.
Okay, so several things getting mentioned here. So regime change. Kim Robinson saying regime change is happening in Iran. Mark my words. I'm more inclined to believe that. I think that we might be seeing something along those lines. We'll have to wait for the developments, but I'm there with you. Tommy O saying existing home sales good. Sure enough, existing home sales for May beat the estimates. That's encouraging. We also had let's see, there was Jonathan Cooper, rumors of a rate cut in July. I believe that was the Fed's Waller who was saying that. And I think that just that one person's not enough for me to lean in that direction, but to hear him say that he thinks a rate cut's coming in July, that's completely in line with my rate cuts in second half of this year. I still think we're getting rate cuts in the second half of this year. I just don't think it's going to happen in July. I'm more inclined to believe September.
I have a tough time being sold the July idea at 213. What I will say here is I do think we are going to get at least one in the second half of the year here. I still have to maintain, I think a stock like RKT is going to rip on a rate cut. I really, really do.
It's certainly looking like it's doing good off the home sales print.
Sure is. That dip got bought there. Test saying 10 feet from your head, best line about the sun ever. It feels like that. You ever been to Vegas? You ever walked around in Vegas and it's like, dude, get out of here. Like you're literally right there. I feel it.
Anyway. Yeah, so it looks like we're going to hit 250. I'm sorry, 350 in Tesla. We're at 347, still climbing. I was not expecting to get 350 today in Tesla, but here we are. I guess that high short, or no, it's not high short interest, but that Robotaxi really did help out, didn't it?
I wasn't there to see it. You're closer to Austin than I am. This Moj, if anything, these attacks did on Iran, it brought people back to the regime. I'll be honest with you that I would love to read about that. If you've got anything I can take a look at. I have not heard that at all. And that includes from Iranian people, which I put the most amount of stock into. But if you have a link or something like that, I definitely want to read about that. Tweet me it or whatever you can do. I'd love to see that.
IBO looks like this is trying one more time to go higher. If you start with the 835 high in the pre-market with IBO, I think I said IBO, and draw it through the highs we got in the regular session. If we get another upward move, I think we're going to be seeing this trend line get tested probably about 150, but I don't know if we're going to break through or not. So this is kind of what I'm waiting to see if we end up breaking through 140 on our way up to 150. If we don't get that breakout here, we might end up just turning around and losing VWAP. Yeah, I'm exactly Jay Summers. I was just seeing that there. And Brian, that's probably a great idea not to jump in here at IBO. Need to see that recapture of okay, here we go, coming up to that trend line. Looks like there's they are trying to sell out of this. There's a whole bunch of buyers at 146 that are loading up here. Look. Okay, I think IBO is about to halt. There it is. It just halted.
Okay, so while IBO's halted, by the way, saw some option flow here on TDOC. Actually seeing some repeat call buying here, TDOC. Citron Research, this is just now. 5 minutes ago, Citron Research posts on X, quote, the coiled spring wall, the world's largest telehealth platform, now trades at 1.2 billion market cap, yet it quietly owns BetterHelp, the #1 brand in online therapy. Until now, BetterHelp operated as a cash pay only, and that meant 80% of potential users walked away. So TDOC here getting a positive Citron mention. This stock up 4% here on this, citing better health, which I see commercials for all of the time.
CDTX sidestepped over that trend line that we drew. Need to see some more volume increase. Some folks are mentioning that it is, starting to increase the volume. I need to see more than this.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Tesla. Less than $1 away from 350.
This is hitting 350. This is hitting 3. And I don't know if he's out there, but Dugan, if you're out there, if you're lurking here today, your call on Tesla, I think you're 2 days late, right? Unbelievable how good of a call that was. Real quick here, no link, this Moj, no links, just based on my personal information from everyone I know back home. Appreciate that. Keep me in mind though, because like I said, I'm merely a spectator here. I'm merely a spectator here, and I'm trying to read from people that are actually involved. Ryan, you've got to see independent media. You can't rely on propaganda media like Fox or CNN. I do primarily do independent media. I don't watch Fox or CNN. Haven't for a long time. So don't worry about that. That's not where I'm getting any of that stuff
that's
from. Again, I'm
news.
talking to people that are Iranian. Sorry?
Yeah, that's entertainment news. Unless if you're looking for something to rub your ego or, make you laugh or whatever, get upset, that's the stuff you want to watch. If you want to get real information, if you want to get real information about what's happening, don't watch those. You got to focus on different independent media, like you were saying. You got to do non-biased media. You got to do surprisingly, a lot of YouTube journalists are very, very good at getting accurate information. You might want to just spend your time on there instead of the TV.
I totally second that. Palantir looking good. CRMD actually looking good here too. This is trading higher after that earnings here this morning. That actually looks like it might break higher here. Here's Palantir back above 140, 141 test. Looks like it's coming here. 144, the next level above this that I think is of note.
Okay, everybody ready? Everybody ready for 350 in Tesla? Here it comes. There it is. Just happened.
I love when 13 laughs.
Yeah, I really dig deep for those laughs, don't I?
What a turnaround on Netflix too, by the way. Netflix, that pull down to 12.15 out of the open here. Sorry, let me put my T down here. I don't need to hold that. That pull there out of the open got bought. Netflix now going green. Big move there on Netflix.
Okay, that's a great point, Lion. But for me, they're entertainment because I know what they're trying to push out here. And every time that you can, if you read enough news and you watch enough content, you'll just know when you have a BS meter that kind of goes off when you start watching that. And it's really, and when it goes off and you hear what they're saying, you laugh. It's entertainment. It's entertainment. That's all it is. There's no real substance to it.
It's no surprise that a majority of people get their news from X now instead of the news. That study came out last week.
I still think that's a bad idea.
It links a lot to your independent media, though.
I guess. But there's a lot of bullshit that gets posted on social media as well.
That is true. That is true. Zeta, whoever asked about this one earlier, we're at the pre-market highs now. Possible move higher here on ZETA. 17 looks to be that breakout level there. S&P 500 futures here still ticking up, buying the war dip for sure, up by 0.62% right now. NASDAQ and Dow also up near the highs, although the NASDAQ move looks like it slowed down a little bit. Tesla's still screaming higher.
Oh my God. I think ASTS may hit 50 again. No, I'm not again. I'm sorry. For the first time, right? First time? Yes, first time.
Yeah, ASTS, and we had suspected that a 50 print by the summer was coming here, and boy, we are just a stone's throw away from that now.
This thing broke a trend. Last week? If you draw if you look at a daily chart and draw the starting trend from February of 2021 through the high of August, we just broke that trend last week. Now, if we come back down, we almost actually tested as support, but I would be keeping an eye on this trend line here for support if we do end up coming back down under 43 again. Man, Tesla just absolutely 351 now.
I am starting now. This might just be a contrarian bet here, but for the first time since we started commenting on it this morning, I'm seeing some repeat put buys here in Tesla. These look like the 340, 345. So this just looks like a snapback here off this move. We're up almost 10% here on Tesla.
I like 345.
And I'll tell you what, those Tesla levered ETFs, those are ripping here today.
Yeah, they are. 360 is the next resistance area I have for Tesla.
Boost, this is still holding near its highs here as well. Here's, oh my God, look at HIMS. We're down 31% now. So HIMS, I was just talking about, wait for this to, don't try to catch the falling knife. This is why, folks. This is what, 1, 2, 3. This is the fourth leg down today.
Oh, that still has a ways to go. I think I was said 34 for that one.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, okay. You did. I'm just saying. The only reason I was addressing it like that is because we got questions here about how low can it go. So,
IBO, that unhalted. It popped up to that trend line, hit 155, came back in, got support from the 140 level. It's kind of trading in between that right now. Those two areas, 155 and 140. Still holding up here, though. Not sure if we're going to get more upside or not. But if we do lose 140, I think that's going to be your indicator that this could be done. Looks like Bitcoin now pulling off of that high. After it got up to 102.5, it printed a little bit higher at 102.686 and then came off of that.
Yeah, I see Bitcoin in from its highs. Yep.
Yeah, coming down to support from earlier this morning, like very early this morning in like, the 2 to 4 a.m. range. That could provide some support. We'll see if we end up getting a reversal here soon. If not, it may come down around 101.750.
Nikolai saying target price for HIMS is 39. Are you with me, guys? So we've got 39 from Nikolai, excuse me. We've got 35 from 13. And this mode saying I'm praying for 34 on HIMS. So we've got mid to high 30 handle as a potential target on HIMS for a long side swing. Look, I think if we move there quickly, just based on the quick movement, you actually might have a bounce back trade there.
I like 34. Draw a horizontal line at 34. I think you'll see why.
Okay, let me do that here in a sec. Baiynd, this got mentioned here. Eric mentioning this. Baiynd, an interesting play. This is Baiynd Technology. This was a story trading play. They're the technology and solutions for exploration, survey, and defense applications in oceanographic, hydrographic, defense, seismic, and security industries. That is an interesting play here. I'm not surprised to see it moving with everything that's going on here.
But yes, Nikolai, I think under 40 and
here. Let me just. Sorry, that's what I meant to do. Sorry, 13.
Yeah, I think that's where you were talking about is pretty much where we're all looking at here. Got another. Okay, so we got a halt in IBO again. This did get that support from 140, and it has blasted off and halted to the upside again. 167 now, breaking through that trend line that we just drew.
Grats to everyone that played IBO here. I wrote this off as being a penny stock that went to dollar territory, and this thing's gone 67 cents from that dollar entry. So if you hit this, congrats. That's what makes a market, folks. Charles is screaming that CoreWeave is about to go positive. Look at this. Actually, we're only down 1% now on CoreWeave. Yeah, you might see a red to green move there. AIRO. Kathy, I tell you what, you're the IPO guru right now. This is a recent IPO here that's moving high. We talked about this one, didn't we, briefly? I think the day that this IPO'd, I covered it off the morning report.
With CoreWeave, I'd be careful of 183. That seems like that's a support turned resistance area. If we get up there, we cannot recapture it. We may end up reversing. So just be careful with CoreWeave at 183. That would be my only point.
All right, here's another stock that I was really kind of hoping to see, and it kind of fell off the radar for me. I'm locked up here again, sorry. Let's see if we can get it here before it freezes. Here, Chipotle. Who's got a view on Chipotle? You know what? I'll even say if you have a long or a short view, I'm interested in both. I want to swing this long. I love the product, full disclosure. I absolutely love a good Chipotle burrito. But does anyone like this? Come on.
Well, I think that this kind of goes along with, that consumer discretion theme when it comes to restaurants that we've been talking about. That would be my only angle of it. The thing that I'm watching for right now is if it can get back up to the 200-day SMA, and here's the concern that I have. If I have a trend line out here that I've started from January of 2023 going up through October of 2023, and if I keep drawing that trend line, it's clearly a resistance area for CMG. You want to try drawing this trend line so you can see?
Dude, I can't even get my chart to work here. Okay. I have no idea what's going on. Let me try refreshing this again.
Okay. But yeah, that's been providing resistance all year, ever since it lost it in March. I say all year like it's been all year, but it's only been a few months. All right, Bitcoin really accelerating the selling here.
Yeah, something's wrong on my end here. I was doing this earlier today too, and it was fine.
Yeah,
sorry about that. I'll figure this out.
Yeah, Jay, you're right. Like Play has been another one as well. But yes, you're absolutely right about those other ones being better than CMG. I think CMG just really needs to continue to cool off. It seems that the double top that it put in still hasn't fully resolved. I think the price may need to come down to $40 before we see that resolution.
Oh man, so you're still thinking a big pullback down here?
Yeah. Oh, now that you have that up, do you want to draw this trend line that I was talking about?
Yeah. Which one is it?
Start at January, the low of January of 2023. There you go. Draw it up through the low from October of 2023, and then just keep going and see where it goes. There you are.
There it is.
So
this actually makes a pretty nice triangle. Look at that.
Yeah, a triangle that we don't need anymore because we're outside it now. But we do need that bottom part of it because that's going to be our resistance trend line, and that's why I'm also looking at the 200-day SMA as the level to get to. So that would be like 55 and a half. That would require a move over this trend line that we just drew. I don't know that we're going to get that, but I'm definitely watching for a recapture of this trend line because that could turn the stock bullish, I think.
I want to trade on that, but don't see it yet. Okay. Let's see what else we got here.
Well, what we got is IBO unhalted, hit 170 and is now trading above that trend line for the time being. So this is still moving up here, folks. But I think as we get more of these moves up in IBO, if you're in this, I think it'd be a great idea to continue to raise your stop every time that we go up. And here we go, 172 now the high. Because I have a feeling like this is gonna, if this is gonna knife, it's gonna probably knife hard. So I would be raising my stops every time that we print higher, just to be safe. Looks like OP getting some support from its 200 EMA on the 5-minute. This is not recaptured the downtrend line that we drew yet, but it is coming back up to VWAP. So maybe this next visit we get a move through the trend line. We'll see. Needs more volume than this.
Okay.
We are also past that 1030 mark, so volume should be drying up in a lot of these names. Don't be surprised if things aren't going to, follow through or work out like you were hoping they would, because we aren't getting that volume. Bitcoin with a nice reversal after hitting that 65 EMA. Not sure the price is going to necessarily go back up and take out the highs of this regular session, but that was a nice reversal. HUSA going through its VWAP. I'm sorry, its 65 EMA.
I don't even have that on here. Let me pull that up.
CDTX. Still having a hard time with going higher here. Still above that trend line, but hasn't been able to really get into the 41 handle yet. Now, OP could test its VWAP. I don't know if it's going to move through it, though.
We'll have to ask Tim about this. NTRS, Northern Trust. Shares are trading higher following a report suggesting the Bank of New York Mellon approached the company to discuss a potential merger.
Getting a mention
NTRS, I don't think that was a Tim Melvin mention, but we'll ask him about that nonetheless.
Getting a mention on Sky Bioscience, that's SKYE. This is having a decent move today. First time in a while since we've had volume of this kind, where we got more than 500,000 shares. The last time we had a move like this was April 15th. Don't know what the news was on, but I'm sure we could figure it out. But for just today, this is making its way towards the 200-day SMA, which I have at 319. That would be an area I'd be keeping an eye on if we continue to move up. All right, so 175 with IBO, and that is coming off of it and testing the trend line now. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. I was just going to say I'm seeing some of the up moves here off the relative volume scanner kind of drying up. Not a whole lot here anymore, and that's maybe that 1030 mention. We stopped right at 598 on SPY, by the way.
And that was, not something I came up with. That was the chat. I think specifically Lion Atlas may have mentioned that, but that was the chat that brought that to our attention, and it's been correct ever since.
Pattern recognition can be done by anybody.
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget that. Anybody can do that.
And if you see something, say something.
That's exactly. So I don't know what reminded me of this. So I told you I was going to get my passport.
Oh, yeah.
I went through that entire process, and they're telling me, do you need it expedited? You pay the extra money. I'm like, no, I don't need it expedited. They're like, okay, they probably start shipping in about 6 weeks. And I was like, okay, no problem. I got an email on Friday night. Your passport book has been shipped. Here's the tracking number. Okay, awesome. So glad I didn't pay for the rush delivery because, oh my God.
IBO now halted to the downside, and this is why we have stops. At 175 I think somebody mentioned 175. That was a great mention. But we are getting the sell-off happening now. And when we unhalt, we may end up losing 140. So anybody that traded that and had your stops out and you filled and you're done with it and you made money, congratulations. I think you did awesome.
Circle CRCL here stopped at about 280. Big Bear Hug mentioning that the market is coming back in a little bit. So the SPY stopped there at 598, taking a little bit of a breather here, but I wouldn't read too much into this unless it extends.
Is the market getting a big bear hug? Is that what's happening? Because that's a great person to mention.
Should we call that? Should we call these snapback moves bear hugs?
Only if we can call it a big bear hug after big bear.
Okay, so we'll name. So what do we? A pullback after a move higher. We'll call it a big bear hug.
A big bear hug. I like it.
This is what we do. We create things here. Thank you, Mama Bear. I'm glad to have my passport again. I got to be honest. This round, though, my ID and my passport, worst pictures. I did not take good pictures.
Daniel, I think you're right about that. IBO done for the morning. I'm pretty sure that once we unhalt, we are going to see some lower prints. I think you're right. Big Bear Hug approves. All right.
Okay. You gotta stay on topic. I might forget that.
I know. I mean, you have to, and hey, Big Bear, if you gotta remember to mention that if we fall behind, if you don't remember to do that, you gotta be like, oh, it's a Big Bear Hug. And be like, oh, that's right.
That's right. You folks are the best. You're absolutely the best. Oh, right. INDP. It looked like this was maybe not going to have a great day earlier. Curling up now. I know it's a penny stock. I'm going to stay away from it, but it's curling up. Jay Rice, your EAF. Look, oh, this is after a prolonged down move. Okay.
Getting Kathy mentioning that GUR is getting hit today. So that went from great to gross. This thing is coming down. Looks like it has a date with the $20 handle. That's not necessarily a gap fill. That gap doesn't fill until down underneath 19. But $20 is a very interesting spot that was previously resistance, and I think we could come down and test it as support. So $20 for GRRR. Don't know if that happens today, but that's what I'm be looking at for support.
Okay. I haven't seen anything notable off the unusual option scanner either. Cores, by the way, I know this. We could talk about this with CoreWeave here. This moving to the downside. You guys were talking about CoreWeave rolling over too. It's like Cores is weaker here. More Astus calls. These are the 50 calls that we talked about. Or the $50 price point that we talked about, buying calls for that. Asking about Lulu. Here we go, Lululemon. We talked the last time we talked about this. I think we talked about 240 being a support. We also drew this trend line. Look at this. So your question here is, has it hit the bottom? I would say no. I would say this is still hunting for the bottom. I gotta think that 200 at some point's coming next here.
OP's looking for VWAP. I'm going to look at Lulu and see if I have any drawings about where my indicator for a bottom would be. Okay, actually, this is a triangle that we had. This is fallen out of that. Yeah. I don't think I said that I think that's going there. I may have mentioned it in passing in the happy hour, but if we lose 200, I think that at 130 is a possibility.
Wow, 130. That'd be almost 100 points lower from where we're at here.
Yeah, that's if we lose 200. So 200 is going to be my next support area, and if we lose that, then I think this thing is going to get absolutely hammered. All right, what is happening here with the ones we've been looking at today? So INDO down near a 65 EMA still. OP tried to get to VWAP, still hasn't done that yet. Lots of sellers between here and wow, all kinds of levels from 242 up to the 250. Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't say anything. I was I was waiting and getting ready. Man, something is wrong. I gotta clear my cache or something. Something's wrong with just my system there. Yeah, see, let me refresh this. But I just wanted to mention really quickly, DAIC, the IPO we talked about, that is open.
Oh, cool. I'll take a look at that in a second. HUSA, that's trying to recapture or hold its 65 EMA. It's right at that level now. This looks like that could go lower as well. CDTX been sideways for pretty much the entire day. Don't know what we're going to get out of this one anymore. After that move up to 42 and rejection. As long as it holds VWAP, there's still a chance it could do it again. But if it loses VWAP, I think it's time to look at something else. IBO, unhalted, opened lower, trying to push back over that trend line. Don't know if we're going to have the volume to do it. And there it is, pushing over it. Can it hold, or is it going to get sold into? Don't know what we're going to get out of IBO, but this thing trying to not be done yet. That's about all the ones we've been looking at today. Tesla, 354 and climbing. So 260 still in the cards.
Tons of
Rocket Lab blasting off. Sorry to interrupt you there.
Nope, you're good. You're good. I'm thinking out loud.
KLB.
Let's see anything great here. Glad we're able to hit OP out of the gate. And congrats to anyone that hit IBO and, or I just did it, IBO and Tesla.
So Monday, June 9th, Rocket Lab hit a high of 3270. Today, we've hit a high of 3260. Seems to me that area up there, around 3270, 3260, that's going to be some pretty hefty resistance, especially since January this year, we got up in that area and was also rejected. That was the highs for the time being. That was 33.34 that we got to, but still no close over 32. Did open just above it. So 32, no closes, but we might get that today. I think 32, that's the level we need to watch for if we to get a close. We start closing above 32, higher we go.
You've made my day, Benzinga. Glad to
love it.
Glad to have helped with that. Yeah, we love that here. Love making days, especially good ones.
Palantir's ripping, says Charles. Gringo Loco. Sorry you missed the show. Hopefully we can get you to come here a little bit earlier tomorrow if you have the time. But we have been talking about HIMS. We are still waiting for that to find a bottom. We are not looking to buy right here. Anybody that's trading, I think it'd be safe not to just kind of wait for some bottoming action.
The consensus here was that wait for the bottom to confirm. Don't try and catch the falling knife. Several members have given levels, I think 34, 39, and there was another one in the 30 handle there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
has some levels to look for.
Tesla's still climbing. It's in the 355 handle now.
Just an absolute rip. Aura Alpha, graphs, literally anyone that took Tesla here today, you're winning bigly. T-Doc, we had talked about this earlier, the Citron mention on T-Doc.
Hey, Tess, that's great. She's feeling greedy with Tesla, so taking her 300% gain and looking for the next entry. I think that's how it's done. You got to pay yourself. You can't just, look at this and go, oh, yeah, this is going to, continue to go. No, you're doing it right, I think. Take those gains, get the next setup when it happens. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Ryan, what's the opposite of not catching a falling knife? You mean what's the opposite of catching a falling knife? Is there a term? I'm trying to think if there's one that I'm missing here.
Getting sliced? I don't know. If you're not catching it, you're getting cut, aren't you?
Yeah, but
I guess I don't understand the question.
I think he means instead of trying to trade it on the way back down, instead try to trade it on the way back up. So you would follow the trend, right? So you would wait for it to confirm the bottom. So now you're not catching the falling knife. And if you're going to trade it to the long side, you're going to follow the trend. You're going to make the trend your friend. So I guess there's the adage. That would be the opposite of that.
Riding the rocket to the moon. Yeah, you're riding a rocket at that point.
Jane, take care of yourself. Enjoy the pool. Good day for it. I'll tell you that much. Good day for what are we at here? This says we're only at 80. That can't be right.
Vaughn, that's a great point. I bio popped because IBO is moving. We've seen that happen before with Stellantis and Tesla because their tickers are so similar.
And Tanzania Life Sciences. Don't forget TLSA.
Yep.
Tiziana. The Tesla doppelganger, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of these movers from this morning are just kind of gassed out and just looking, having a hard time getting to those levels that we were looking at. So I think the whole putting the stops out like we were talking about was a really great move. And you folks that are trading these with the stop and keeping your stops out there, you're making money on the upside. You're not getting yourself hurt. You're getting a gain on the way back down when it's nice. I'm really happy that you guys are making money today. Really am. It's good stuff. Wow. Have you looked at those rocket calls today?
No. They're
just. I mean, I don't think we have the same ones, but they are. I mean, they should be looking pretty good. Like this is the highest I've seen the ones I've got.
Yeah, I mean, mine are at the high. So just to be clear, my rocket position are the March 26th 15 calls. Okay, so 13, just to assign some numbers to that, I bought those calls when they were $1.50. They're a $2.25 bid now. So these calls are up quite a bit.
Yeah, you're going to probably have them explode once they get over 15.
That's what we're hoping for here. And that's why we actually took leaps on this, because we couldn't figure out when the rate cut was coming. Might as well just buy the time. And on Rocket, the implied volatility was very cheap. In fact, the implied volatility in that March contract is still 51%. Like they just were not overpriced. If this thing starts to go buck wild, we'll get a benefit from premium inflation just on that alone.
Do you think the market's going to finish down today? Just a feeling?
That's not that. You know what? That's something to watch for. I also kind of covered that this morning. I had noted that we were up off the lows and there was a potential to go green here today, but realistically, it's going to matter where we close here today. And Izzy, at this point, I wouldn't take anything off the table. I also said earlier this morning that the market is likely to get affected by further reports of whatever retaliatory strikes come from Iran or the United States in that case. So I still think there's a lot of wild cards out there. And as far as the market possibly closing right here today, definitely not out of the question.
I'm not going to say it's out of the question. To me, just looking at the 5-minute chart of SPY, it looks like it's directionally bullish. But I think the big thing that I'm going to be watching for is what happens with the previous all-time high of 596.65. That was a breakout spot this morning. Now we need to hold above that. And I think we're going to come down here and test that level. So if we hold it, as long as we hold that level, I think we are going to be going higher or at least close positive. If we lose 596.65, I think then we can close red.
Okay.
That's a level for me.
Okay. That's really clear. Really clear. All right, 9 minutes to go here, folks.
What a fun morning. Thank you all for being a part of it.
Oh, that's right. I was supposed to have a dentist appointment. Oh, that's right. I consolidated it when I got my root canal. Okay. I just looked at my calendar and it said I had a dentist appointment and my heart started to come up my throat a little bit because I was like, no, that can't be. Yeah.
Are you all done with all that, or is it?
Yeah, I'm all done with it. So, folks, Remember to clear out your calendar for events that get moved around so you don't do what just happened to me. Yes, but knock on wood, I'm all done with that. And my dentist, Dr. Hong, he is such a G. Like, I am so lucky. I'm so lucky. Anyway.
Hey, you're welcome, Josh. Yeah.
What? Oh. Josh, yeah. I love that. I tell you what, in addition to having the best community that I'm aware of on the internet, we also have really good handles here. You guys picked some pretty awesome YouTube names.
Just passing through, thank you for just passing through and mentioning that lottery is taking off on news.
Izzy, get some rest, man. 2 hours of sleep, not healthy.
Oh, after a 4-hour ride? Yeah, please go back to sleep, my man.
Here's lottery. What's the news you guys are referring to? As of this morning, lottery.com regains NASDAQ compliance. That was the earlier PR here. On June 16th, lottery.com amended stock purchase agreement with Generating Alpha to purchase up to $300 million of lottery.com stock.
That's the real news.
That's the news. Stock's down 2.25% on the back of that news. Now, we did have a nice little volume bar here, but we'll see if that materializes into anything.
Yeah, that Nasdaq compliance, that's going to be something that you could see like the stock moving on like out of the open, and then it's done for the day. Because we haven't really seen Nasdaq compliance names, go really, really far. They do get a lift. They get these attention movements, but that's a quick trade. This 300 million stock purchase, that's the big news there. So we should see a filing for that at some point. I'd imagine anyway, like a 13D.
Real quickly here, this is the first time I've.
Sorry to interrupt you. INDO, that's starting to move. Going to rebound. Sorry.
This is the first time that we've looked at NVO on the back of this HIMS news here. NVO is actually down here 5.5% on the back of that news as well, and struggling to regain 70. Okay, INDO, that's also one of those energy names. Yes.
Yeah, we were looking at it this morning. This one and HUSA are the two, those exploration names for energy that we were looking at. So it looks like they're starting to turn around here after getting some support. Keep an eye on those.
Daniel here mentioning this. The news to watch is anything to do with the Strait of Hormuz and any negative development that would send oil off the charts. This is 100% correct. The only caveat that I will add to this, Daniel, is that, remember, Iran has already threatened to do this. And the reality is, if they do this, they are effectively committing suicide because their entire economy is propped up by the oil they sell predominantly to China. And if you close this, that's trouble. I'm going to say this, 13. I don't buy this. I don't think this gets closed.
I'm leaning towards that right now. But here's the thing you got to understand. China and Iran have developed a China-Iran railway system as part of the Belt and Road Initiative that China's been trying to scam the world with. So I think that's going to be their the way that they're going to be moving oil out of Iran is going to be through the rail if the strait gets closed. I do not think that they have the same capacity to transport through rail as they do by sea. But I think that alternative alleviates the pressure of not just the Strait of Hormuz, but the Malacca Strait, which is basically the choke point for where the all the Middle Eastern oil travels to the Pacific. So there's I at this point I don't think that strait's going to get closed. Because yes, you're right. It would cause a big problem for their oil shipments by sea. But you also have these other countries that depend upon that area as well. So you might get a lot of backlash from them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Fairchild here seeing plenty of ships in the strait at the moment. Thinking about it, reminding us that the U.S. will send ships to keep it open, if that's the case.
Probably.
I wouldn't be surprised at that either. Although that does represent even perhaps more escalation in a conflict that I don't really think anybody wants. Nonetheless, again, to Daniel's original point here, these headlines are going to be crucial. And the other thing is that we might see quick moves that reverse just as quickly on some of these headlines. So all of this stuff, definitely stuff to keep watching. Keep your oil lists handy, or your petroleum or your fossil fuel, whatever you have them organized, keep those handy. Keep those watch lists handy.
Jonathan Cooper with some news about how some tankers have turned around.
Covered that this morning too.
Okay.
Very briefly, we did see there was one of them that looked like it turned around. If Jonathan's reporting more, that would be something to also monitor. Like I said, that situation to me, the most important, and then the dovetail effect of that is the price of oil. How does that then play in to the Fed and rate cutting? And then the inflation print.
Yeah, and well, see, okay, so there's something that I'd be keeping a close eye on if we do get that, if Iran tries to block that strait anyway. How are Kuwait, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, and Bahrain, how are they all going to respond to that? Because they depend upon that area to traverse their oil out of the Persian Gulf. So you're going to get, I think you would get major global backlash if they try to do that. Everybody would absolutely be against Iran at that point, I think. That's just me, though.
Again, we'll see how it shakes out. Kevin, take care of yourself. Thank you for everything. Got about 3 minutes left here before we send you over to Trader Bacon here on a Monday, a busy Monday. And am I going to jinx this? You guys can blame me tomorrow. But so far, a green Monday. And yes, I knocked on wood.
Smoke Tuna saying, Bo, not done. Well,
now
I'm
that's
done
a call, Tuna.
I'm done with it. That's fine. If this continues to go, that's okay. Because, like, it's like we've been saying like a lot of times here, if you get the trade you were after, or your whole plan works and you're done, that's fine. It doesn't matter what happens after it. You got what you wanted. You executed. You're done. Don't try to chase this and lose your capital that you just made. Don't try to do that. Yeah, closing the street only hurts the customers. Absolutely. DXY polling all session. That's probably another reason why you're seeing stocks rise. All right. What else is moving here? Looks like INDO didn't end up going anywhere after that move. Maybe it happens later. Things kind of moving sideways at the moment.
All right. 13, we got about a minute left here. You want to start wrapping? You got anything to look for?
You know what? I think I'm pretty good.
I think we know what to look for. But why don't we just wrap here?
Yeah, I think we're good. We're good for the morning. If anybody else that's still trading, do your thing. Just understand that we've got lower volume. It's been a great morning. I had a good time spending here with everybody. Let's come back tomorrow. We'll do it all over again and trade some of these names and have a great time, just like today. So take care, folks. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Perfect, 13. Well done here this morning. We will see you tomorrow morning. Folks, have a good rest of your day here. Look, again, just to reiterate, if you're anywhere in any of these areas that have extreme heat, be careful. Definitely stay hydrated. And as C-Dub said earlier, check on the elderly. We can all do our part to have a better community. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused, and stay cool.